27-year-old designer Rachel Cook is suing ex-boyfriend, car customizer Dan Mock, for household items they purchased over the 4 years they lived together.
Yeah, this is case number 367 on the calendar, the matter of Cook versus Mock. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Cook, it is your claim that the defendant kept some property that is rightfully yours after you broke up. You were in a long-term relationship, about 4 years, and lived together for all that time?
Correct.
Mr. Mock says you got whatever you're going to get.
Yes.
So, when did you move in together and when did you leave?
We got together August 7th, 1999.
And when did you separate?
We broke up September 17th. I moved out October 1st.
What arrangements did you make with Mr. Mock about the division of property?
Well, him and my brother both loaded the items that we discussed as I was loading the truck that he said that I could have. I had taken one of the dressers and two of the nightstands for the bedroom set, and that was fine. And he said that, you know, his stuff was still in the one dresser and that, you know, as soon as he replaced it, he would deliver that item to my mother's house. The steamer and the vacuum cleaner, he wanted to clean the carpets and stuff before I took those. There was a blow-up pool for my son, and then also...
Did you have a child living with you?
Correct.
But this was not the child of this relationship.
No.
How old is your son?
My son's 8 years old.
What items did you take with you?
I got one of the freezers, the washer and dryer. He said it wasn't a problem to take the washer and dryer. He was just going to replace them anyways.
Don't tell me. You're editorializing.
Sorry.
You got a freezer? Had you bought that freezer?
The freezer was given to us by his ex-sister-in-law.
Okay. So the answer is you did not buy the freezer?
No.
Did you buy the washer and dryer?
I bought the washer. The dryer was his brother's.
What else did you take?
As far as furniture?
Bedroom furniture. Who purchased it?
We purchased it together.
So you both paid for it?
Correct.
Is that right?
I paid for it.
All the furniture, all the bedroom furniture?
Yes.
Is that right?
No, that's incorrect. Both our money went into a joint account for the 4 years that we were together. We opened an account in March of 2000.
And you were employed?
Correct. I haven't been employed other than 3 weeks the entire time we've been together.
So when you say that you paid for it by check?
I actually paid for it by cash. What I would typically do would be to deposit a certain amount of my check into the joint account, and then I would keep a certain amount for myself or whatever.
For cash?
For cash.
Well, that's okay. That's the way you set up your finances, so that you didn't pay for it. It was paid for from joint money. Okay. What is it that you want now?
All I want is the items that on the day that I moved out and we loaded the truck, we discussed the electric skillet and we purchased off eBay that had not arrived yet.
Do you have a list of those things?
Yes, I do.
Let me see it, please.
They are right there.
Ms. Cook, don't be nervous. I only eat litigants on Thursday.
Sorry.
She wants a vanity-style dresser. Do you have that?
That is, yes, the dresser part of that bedroom set.
Okay. You have any problem giving her that?
Yes.
Why?
Out of the bedroom, I've kept that dresser. She's taken the bed, she's taken the nightstand, she's
so you want the dresser?
Oh, yeah, I would like to at least have a dresser.
You can have it. It's yours. It's his. You took the bed, you took the other dresser, now he's got that. That's it. Period. Listen, when two people are married and they live together, they have courts to decide about the division of property.
Correct.
When two people decide to live together and do a test run, we don't have courts for test runs. You two people put money in a joint bank account, which means that all the things that were purchased, according to you,
Correct.
except the stuff that was given by his family, was purchased from the joint account. You took most of the bedroom furniture. He wants the dresser. He's got it. I'm the judge. Period. End of discussion. Over. Don't respond. Next. Steam cleaner.
The steam cleaner at the beginning of summer, I had given her the money to go to town to buy.
Don't tell me you gave her the money. So you both put money in the joint account. It's not your money. Did you tell her that she could have the steam cleaner?
No.
Okay.
I'd like
Vacuum?
to interject. My mother was there the day that he said that he would deliver all these items to my mother's house. My brother called.
He changed his mind.
But the day that he was served with papers.
In order to have a contract, you have to have an offer and acceptance, and there has to be some consideration. What was the consideration for him giving you all the property?
I didn't ask for any of the vehicles that were purchased. I didn't ask for reimbursement for any of the money for his mortgage payments. I didn't ask for reimbursement.
You don't get, let me explain something. You don't get reimbursement for money for his mortgage payments because you and your child were living there.
What about the $1,100 that's still owed on my mother's Lowe's account for items that are permanently part of that house? I couldn't take my garden window
let me explain something to you, my dear. You do not invest money in a home unless you're married.
Oh, I know that now.
Well, if you watched regularly, you would have known it before. You do not invest money in a house.
I thought that when he said that he would do something, that he was actually maybe for the first time going to do it.
Okay. Did you purchase an electric skillet on your account?
Yes.
Who paid for it?
I did.
Show me. Prove it.
I cannot prove it.
That's too bad. She gets the skillet. $400.
How much, ma'am?
Skillet? How much was the skillet?
This is the actual payment. We purchased it on eBay. This is the replacement
Just a second.
cost.
Who's we? I thought you said you purchased it.
I purchased it. I paid for it. I purchased the.
From where did you get the money?
We bought it off eBay.
Not we. Where did you get the money?
eBay.
Where did you get the money?
I paid for it out of my paycheck after we split up.
Well, show me.
It's right there.
Okay, good. Is this what you showed me, $36?
Yes, but the replacement cost. I want the skillet.
It was purchased on September 8th. This was before you broke up.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I guess that I had that date wrong. But it was, I went in and paid for it.
I mean, it's sort of interesting that you say that the skillet is worth $400 and you
That's the replacement cost if I were to have to go buy it.
Oh, well, you don't get that, madam.
I want the skillet.
But you don't get that. You were living together.
Correct.
I told you, you have a problem. Your problem is things that were purchased from a joint account.
Okay.
Courts don't do that anymore. I mean, if I'm looking at any item here that looks as if, for instance, I have a small child's desk. Whose is that?
That is hers.
Where is it?
It is at her house.
No, it is not.
Her brother returned it for me.
You're the
And
brother?
when was that?
Step up.
Yes,
You're Miss Cook's brother?
yes, I am.
You brought the child's desk where?
Over to where she is living at her mother's house. It is sitting on the front porch.
You don't get along with your sister, I assume?
No, not really.
Okay. What about an inflatable swimming pool?
The inflatable swimming pool. I'm sorry, ma'am, for laughing. It is at my house. It is in the garbage trailer. It was a $15.
It was 30.
Okay, it was a $30 inflatable pool that sat out in the sun all summer.
Well, if she wants to come over and get it, leave it out 5 days from today. If she wants to come and pick it up, she's going to pick it up.
Gladly.
Okay?
Yes.
Because that you don't sit in that, do you?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're being petty. I don't know why.
It's items that he said I could have. And he said in front of my mother that I could have, and the day they were served, they were going to deliver.
And later today,
The two of you believe that Mr. Gelhar owes you for mental distress. And Mr. Gelhar says that you aggravated him into an ulcer. Huh. Everybody's in Never Never Land here.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rachel Cook claims former lover Dan Mock will not return her things. Dan says she should move on with her life.
Miss Cook, my sense is that you're being pretty petty. Most of these things are not worth a lot of money. They have no sentimental value.
They do to me.
No, a swimming pool that you bought for $30 that is plastic doesn't have sentimental value.
No, but when we didn't have it, when we unloaded, my son cried. He wanted his desk, he wanted certain items.
Miss Cook, I can't tell you that you don't have the desk. Your brother says that the desk is on the porch in your house.
It was not there when we left.
Check again. My sense is that Mr. Mock is not lying to me. It seems to me that when you left, you took an awful lot of stuff with you. You loaded it in a truck.
But
You want more?
I paid for stuff into that house as well. And I feel that
Your problem is you feel as if because you invested money in a house that was not yours, that you can't take out of the house, you should be able to get the things that you can take out of the house.
But I didn't take everything that you can take out of there. I didn't take the desk. I told him he could have the computer desk that I paid for.
Good.
I didn't take the surround sound system, which, great, I have a big screen TV that he was kind enough to let me have that has no internal speaker. So without a sound system, it's pretty much worthless.
You mean you can't watch television on it?
You can watch television on it, but you can't hear it.
Well, you go get a little speaker and plug it in.
But I mean, that's the thing. I didn't take, we had two
You're being
surround
petty.
systems.
I don't know why, but this stuff here that you have here is nonsense. I mean, it's really nonsense.
But it's items that he said I could have. And he said in front of my mother that I could have, and the day they were served, they were going to deliver.
Listen to me. I'm not listening to your mother.
Okay.
Is there anything on her wish list that you feel as if you can part with?
Ma'am.
Just to answer my question,
No,
sir. Nothing. It's all important to you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's all important to you. It's the only vacuum cleaner in your house.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
No,
Okay.
there's one out in
And
the storage unit.
Is there another vacuum cleaner in the storage unit?
There may be. If there is, she's welcome.
And he has a new
Just
dresser.
shh. So you would have no objection to going to look and seeing if there is another vacuum cleaner that you might want to give her.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to do that. If you find it, you put it on the curb with the swimming pool.
Will do.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Have a happy life. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The real reason we were here was because I have a new girlfriend.
If he feels that I'm being petty and jealous over his convicted felon girlfriend, I'm really sorry, but she's not half the woman I am.
She's angry. She's upset.
He cheated on me, whether he wants to feel that he cheated on me or not.
She just can't. She can't let go.
I still love him. But you know what? I'm not in love with him. As far as I'm concerned, he is worse than scum.
She's just one of those people that is just never going to let go until she finally finds someone and moves on with her life.
I am back together with somebody extremely important in my life.
That's what she needs.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hoisington Mayak versus Gelhard. Step forward, please.
Musician Tori Mayak and his fiancée, 22-year-old business student Michelle Hoisington, are suing computer accounts manager William Gelhard for rent, bills, and death threats. William is countersuing for an ulcer caused by their death threats.
Whose last name is Hoisington? You're the girlfriend.
Yes.
And this is your home.
Yes, ma'am.
Yours and or your mother's?
Yes, it's in my mother's name, ma'am.
So it's your mother's home?
Yes.
You live there?
Yes.
The two of you believe that Mr. Gelhard owes you for security deposits, some rent, some utilities, and a whole lot of aggravation that you categorize as mental distress.
Most definitely, Your Honor.
And Mr. Gelhard says he owes you for nothing, but that you aggravated him into an ulcer, and he wants $5,000 for the ulcer. Right?
Correct.
Oh, everybody's in Never Never Land here. Mr. Gelhard, I'm going to deal with your mental distress first.
Okay.
You moved into their home, and you claimed that because they were such terrible people, they were involved in fighting and drugs and everything else, you developed an ulcer.
Yes, it did.
And that's your counterclaim.
Yes, it is.
Let's take care of it right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Forget it. If you don't like where you're living, you move.
Right.
Right? You weren't sentenced there. You weren't under house arrest. Nobody put a chain link fence on your foot and told you you had to stay in the house. They were aggravating you, you leave.
Exactly.
Okay, good. So, counterclaim over. Perfect. Now, next. This house is in your mother's name.
Correct.
Were you renting it from your mother?
I was living there with my mother and my auntie and my sister. They all had to move back to Wisconsin, where I'm originally from, for a family emergency. The landlord agreed to let us take over the lease, so we
So
did.
this is
at
a
that
leased
time.
house.
Yes, correct.
And originally the lease was in your mother's name?
This is correct, yes.
Is it still in your
Yes,
mother's name?
this is correct.
So it's your mother's security deposit?
This is correct.
Now, who was he a friend of?
Your Honor, this man was a lifelong friend of mine. I've known him since, okay.
Good. He's a friend of yours.
Right.
Now, as far as I can gather here, he needed a place to stay because he was coming out of drug rehab.
He was homeless. He showed up at my doorstep with basically
Had
two
you been
glad
in
bags
any
full of his
rehab
possessions.
programs?
Was never in any rehab
His
program.
girlfriend had kicked him out of his house, Your Honor. He showed up at my doorstep.
So he was homeless?
Yes, I was doing a good Samaritan deed, just letting him live in my house.
Everybody wants to talk. When you say you took him in, what arrangement did you make with him as far as rent? Did you make any, or did your mother make it?
While he was living there with my mother, he was to pay $500 a month, which included phone, food, all utilities, and rent.
You were paying his mother $500 a month.
Yep.
Starting when?
Starting the day I moved in.
Which was when?
Which was about 8-9 months ago. I don't know. I can't remember.
What day?
February 2nd, Your Honor, he showed up at my door with two glad bags.
2203. He was paying $500. And how many months did you pay the $500?
Up until
June,
August.
Your Honor, when my mother moved back to Wisconsin due to a family illness.
Okay. When did she move back?
She moved on June 1st, Your Honor. She was gone.
Now, on June 1st, did you negotiate different terms
Yes.
with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why?
Because my mom wanted us to reimburse her for the security deposit, over $3,500 down. And we
Did they
all
discuss that with
agreed
you?
to it. We all agreed to that, Your
they
Honor.
discussed it with me,
And he agreed to
but
it.
the fact was, she was like, it's just like putting money in the bank and you'll get it when the lease is up, word for word.
And?
And I said, you know, I personally would not mind paying whatever I have to pay But once things started breaking in the house and what have you, and my clothes got sold because I wasn't there, that to me ended any kind of verbal agreement we had.
So what rent does he owe you, sir?
Right now, he owes me for the month of October, plus he didn't pay it to me, so there's an $83.10 late fee.
Just a minute. You left me in June. Did he pay rent in July?
Oh, yeah, he paid rent for June, July, August, September.
And how much did he pay?
After my mom left, he paid $350 a month.
Okay. October, were you living there, sir?
No, I was out by September.
Was he there in October?
No.
Then he doesn't have to pay rent. So it's just October rent?
October rent plus the late fee plus all the money for a security deposit.
He doesn't owe you any money for security deposit, sir. You think he's going to come after you when you're finished living in that house a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and say, can I have my $1,200 back? And you're going to give him his $1,200 back?
Yes, I would have.
It's not going to happen.
Well, not now. He hasn't given me any money.
Absolutely right. When you have property, in order to have a valid contract, it has to be in writing.
I've known this man for 20 years since I was in the 9th grade.
So what are you doing here, Mr. Mayak? I don't understand what you're doing here.
Well, I have a close to $2,700 claim against this guy.
You don't have a $2,700 claim, sir. He doesn't have to pay you security deposit. He's not there. You don't even claim in your paperwork that he caused any damage to the property from the time he was living there until the day he moved out, which would suggest that he would be liable for any damage. However, after he moved out, it's possible that you were going to cause a great deal of damage, which means he'd be out of his security deposit 3 years from now. Why should he do that? That's stupid.
Your Honor, he also owes me...
you would agree that that would be stupid.
I'll agree with that.
Good. You would also agree, sir, that since you didn't have a lease, he is nowhere obligated to give you 30 days' notice if he's going to move out. So he left before October 1st, so he doesn't owe you for October's rent. And he was paid through September.
Your Honor, this man is a pathological liar.
You just told me that!
When his lips are moving, I know he's lying.
Mr. Mayak, I am not a pathological liar, sir.
I'm not saying you are, Your Honor.
You just told me he paid you rent through September, and what he didn't pay was October, and he didn't give you a 30-day notice. And I just told you he wasn't living there in October. He doesn't have to pay rent. You say he's a pathological liar.
Your Honor, he gave me a verbal agreement and a contract saying that he would give me a 1 month notice.
You can't
he would be out on November 1st.
have a contract for real estate unless it's in writing. I don't know what you think, Mr. Mayak. I mean, he's just as far out as you are. He wants $5,000 because he said you aggravated him when he was there. As ludicrous as your lawsuit. Listen to me. What utilities does he owe you for?
He owes me for $172.69 for the month of July, August, and September. I have the utility bills here with me.
Okay, that's what they say. Did you pay utilities during those months?
I paid my utilities, but as I went to Phoenix the first time and came back, Tori goes, look, I needed money, so I pawned some of your clothes and I pawned some stuff.
What did he pawn?
He pawned an $80 jacket and like 3 other dress shirts that I have.
No.
Just a minute. Did you tell him that you sold any of this property?
Your Honor, he had promised me on a payday that he was going to give me $50.
Towards utilities?
Yes, and he did not come through for that.
So what did you do?
At that time, I went into his room searching for anything that I could use to pay that bill, or else my utilities were going to be turned off.
And so what did you find, sir?
I found a jacket, and I got $10 for it.
Well, then consider that your utilities. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. Let's step out. Yeah, this is case number 148 on the calendar in the matter of Walker versus Cowley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Walker, you and the defendant had a relationship of sorts. You have a child together, and according to you, she filed an application for an order of protection against you in which she made some false allegations. You want to be compensated for the false allegations, time away from work, your humiliation, etc., etc.
Right.
The defendant says that what she says was true, that she was not granted ultimately an order of protection after a trial because there wasn't enough evidence, and that she is counterclaiming because she says that you have filed numerous reports about her with Child Protective Services and the police, and they were all lies. So she's counterclaiming. Okay. How old is your child?
She's 8 years old.
Did the two of you ever live together?
No.
Do you have visitation regularly with your daughter?
Yes.
So when was the last time you saw your daughter?
I saw her the Saturday before Father's Day, last time I saw her.
Why is that?
I live 2.5 hours away, and I drive up there to see my daughter. And until that, I won the case on April 24th because she had filed an order of protection through her allegations of me harassing her. She would not let me see my daughter. And They gave her an order of protection.
Miss Callie, I want you to tell me why you filed an application for an order of protection.
Because he harassed me on the phone.
Well, tell me what he did.
He called me on my phone at one time. He told me, "You owe
When?
me." That was in November of 2001.
When did you file an application for an order of protection?
After the second harassment on the phone, which was in September 18th of 2002.
So a year later, he did something else to you. And what did he do a year later?
He called me on the phone and told me that he called the police and they were coming to get me and he was coming to take my daughter. So I got tired of that and
Just a second.
Okay.
Did he tell you why?
Yes, he told me I was a drug dealer.
That was on September 18th?
Well, September 16th, and I filed the papers on September 18th.
I'd like to see the papers that you filed.
Yes.
And that's what he said to you, Miss Callie.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That he's tired of dealing with you, that you were a drug dealer. He called the police and he's going to come and take your daughter from you.
Exactly.
Okay. So now let me see the application that you filed. Let me see, please. It doesn't say anything about that in your application for an order of protection, Miss Cowley. It says that on or about September 17th, this is what you say in your petition. You say that he arrived at your home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He wanted to see his daughter, and he made belittling remarks about you in front of your daughter. He called you a stupid... You didn't say that just now. You told me a different story. You told me he called you on the phone.
He did.
Well, that doesn't say that here.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
That's when I went down to car and we had to go back to court.
Are you not following what I'm saying to you? I asked you, why did you feel as if you were in fear of the petitioner so that you should file a petition for an order of protection? You told me about two dates. You told me about November of 2001 and September 16th, 2002, both of which were telephone calls. That's what you told me.
Well, I had been upset because he called me quite a few times, and when he came to visit my daughter, he had sent the police to my house. And what made me fear him is because he told me he had a gun in his car under his front seat. He told me about how he was going to hurt his first children's mother, and that's what made me feel as though I had to file an order of protection against him.
And the judge threw out the case?
Yes.
Rightly so. You're giving me a lot of who shot John. You abused the system. You were getting even with him for something. Is there a case involving custody and visitation in 2002?
Yes.
May I speak?
Yes.
In the 2002 custody case, I went for custody of my daughter. She has a 26-year-old son there who sells drugs. I tried to get custody of my daughter due to that issue right there. He's been in boot camp, and he's also been in jail for selling drugs. When he was 16, I asked her to let me put her son in a Job Corps. She says no. I said, you'd rather have your son selling drugs than be in a Job Corps? And she actually said, I'd rather have him here. I said, but he's selling drugs. 2 weeks later, he got busted because it was a shootout.
Mr. Walker,
and what happened
to the custody case?
She never even showed up to court. Here's the paper right here. I highlighted it for you. She never even showed up to court. It's right there. And the order, it's right in the order. And
Just a minute.
some...
I assume that the law guardian advised the judge that the child should remain with her mother. Is that right?
Yes, but there's some extreme circumstances that I need to clear up. I was a paralegal for this responsible fatherhood program. I caught a judge in Rochester lying on me, and a deputy chief clerk, and also a cop lying on me. So I filed with the FBI, the Inspector General's office, and 3 other federal agencies. And it's like a blacklist on me. That's why I moved away from Rochester to Elmira, because they put like a blacklist on me in regards to employment in Rochester due to me catching this judge lying on me. They used her as a tool to get after me. I've never threatened her. She knows I never did anything to her.
For the first 6 years of your daughter's life, did you have regular visitation?
Yes, I did. And her son was in jail. When he got back out of jail, I drove up to her house, and she lives in an area where they sell drugs right at the street corner. I'm looking at him coming off the street corner selling drugs. I tried to get my daughter out of it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I believe that your son has been in serious difficulty involving drugs.
He wasn't, though, Judge Judy.
I don't believe you, madam.
Does he have police records?
I don't believe you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donnell Walker says the mother of his child, Sharon Cowley, filed false charges with the police. Sharon says he threatened to use a gun.
All right. I think that she lied in order to get an order of protection, sir. I do.
Judge Judy, may I speak, please?
Sure.
Now, he knows that I'm not lying. What made me fear him the most, he hit a policeman's son in the face with a basketball.
What does that have to do with you?
It made me nervous because he kept coming to my house threatening me.
Listen to me.
Miss
Cowley, I was very, very clear, madam. I said to you, when you filed your application for an order of protection, you filed it for reasons. I want you to tell me the reasons that you filed a petition for an order of protection. And you said two things. One happened in November of 2001, and that was a phone call. And the next thing that happened was another phone call where he said to you, I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to come and get my daughter. That you considered a threat. And then you add this stuff about guns. Now, to me, if I asked a person why they felt threatened, they would have said to me right away, he threatened me with a gun. That might have caught my attention, but that's not what you said. Right. So I believe that you were using the court system, which fortunately did not grant you an order of protection, because I think if you had an order of protection against him, you would have abused it. And I'm awarding him $1,000 on his application. Now I'm going to hear your cross-complaint.
Okay.
You say he's called the police on you and your family on numerous occasions.
Yes.
Okay? Tell me about that, Miss Cowley.
Okay, Judge Judy, now, the 3 times that he's come to see my daughter, he's called the police on me.
What do you mean he's called the police on you?
He's just called the police on me for nothing.
What does that mean? You mean they've come with him?
He's called them before he's come to my house.
And done what?
Tell them that I'm a drug dealer and he has to get my daughter out of the house. And he would have a problem getting her out of the house for visitation.
Are you telling me that he comes to the house with a police officer in order to pick up his daughter?
Yes.
He's allowed to do that.
What? But
he's allowed to do that because what he says is, I'm not going there without a police escort because I don't trust her.
Yes.
I don't trust her, A, not to create trouble, to say I bothered her or harassed her, and B, I don't trust her not to give me my daughter for visitation. So I'm going to ask the police to come with me. He has an absolute right to do that.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a right to harass me.
How is he harassing you? You haven't told me how he's harassing you.
By sitting the police there all the time for nothing when he's come before and pick her up with no problem until he had to go to court.
Give me a time when he called police when he did not come himself.
Oh, I have it marked on the calendar. He called them 3 times on me. All of these are no-shows where he did not come for his visit, starting from the beginning when we went to court.
Well, tell me what the police said when they came to your house.
When they came to the house, they came in and said that he called the police because he said gushes of marijuana smoke was coming out the door. We don't smoke in my house because my daughter has chronic asthma.
Where was your son?
He doesn't live with me.
Where was your son?
He wasn't there.
Has your son ever been incarcerated for drugs?
No, he hasn't, Judge Judy.
I don't believe that.
What?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
He hasn't been locked up for drugs or anything.
Really?
Really. Never
been involved with drugs?
He wasn't in drugs. He was sent to Willard for smoking drugs. That's what he wasn't. He says that he was selling drugs.
Ms. Cowley, you have no case. He's entitled to say his child was not living under good circumstance.
Well,
he has an absolute right to do that. And I'm going to tell you something else. I don't know why you've waited so long, sir. I don't know what kind of investigation they did with regard to the home situation. I assume that I assume that in Monroe County, they send out an investigator to do an investigation of both homes. I can only hope it happens. But I will tell you now, this case was not heard before a family court judge. It was heard before a referee because it was a default. It was her default because she didn't show up.
Right.
Now, you have the ability to file objections to this hearing officer's report.
I will be filing it when I get back to Rochester.
Well, I suppose that's a good idea. In any event, your counterclaim is dismissed, Ms. Cowley.
Judge Judy, may I speak? This was from a judge. This is where they gave me custody of my daughter after child protective came out.
I'm not talking about custody of your daughter, madam. I believe that your son has been in serious difficulty with the law involving drugs, that there was drug use in the house with your daughter present. That's something that a father can be concerned. Don't say no when the answer is yes.
He wasn't, though, Judge Judy.
I don't believe you, madam.
Does he have police records?
I don't believe you. I believe that your son was doing drugs in the house, not selling them. I didn't say selling them. You said smoking them.
Judge Judy, I have a paper right here where he accused me and my son and my daughter of being drug dealers.
Well, how do I know that's not true?
But because the child protective came to my house 3 unannounced times to find out if it was true.
And I want to tell you something. They couldn't find that if they came to your house 30 times to find out if you were selling drugs in your house, if you didn't want them to find out that you were selling drugs in the house. I don't want to hear it.
Judge.
Madam, he has the right, understanding that your son was a drug abuser, to question whether or not that house was a safe environment for his child. You do not have the right to, based upon the fact that you were annoyed, file an application for an order of protection without basis. You did that. I am awarding him $1,000 on his complaint, and I am dismissing your cross-complaint for him filing police reports and asking them to do an investigation as to whether or not there was drug activity in the house where his 8-year-old is living. I think that that was appropriate.
It's not
Goodbye.
true. He's a liar. If he was so concerned about me selling drugs in my house, why didn't he come visit her more often?
I had to go to court to just to see my daughter, and before I would just pick her up.
Sometimes truth doesn't.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sarah Borden versus Taylor Marquez. Step forward, please.
19-year-old barista Devin Serra and her boyfriend, Michael Borden, are suing their former roommates, 20-year-old cashier Angela Marquez and her boyfriend, Gary Taylor, for breaking a lease. Angela says she moved out because she was scared to live with Devin.
The two of you decided to lease an apartment with the two of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Leased the apartment when?
December 11th in 2004.
Moved in when?
That same day.
That was fast. How big an apartment?
It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
You're not married?
No.
You're not married?
No,
You're going to have a baby?
Yes.
Well, everything's... You're all friends, right?
Yes.
When did you move out?
January 28th, 2005.
Okay, and you want 3 months' rent from them?
Yes.
Because you're stuck with the lease?
Yeah.
And you also say that when they moved out, they took some property that didn't belong to them.
Yes, they did.
You'll tell me about that in a minute. And you say you had to move out because she threatened you, and they both told you to go, and you just went. And you couldn't be stressed out because you're pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
20.
How old are you?
I'm 20, Your Honor.
Do you have a job?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you work at?
I'm a firefighter.
And you?
Cashier.
Two 20-year-olds having a baby? That would make me nervous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She grabs the salt and the pepper, she throws it against the wall. She comes after me, in my face, picking up her hands like she was going to come after me and hit me.
Oy, 20 years old and you're having a child.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Devin Serra and her boyfriend Michael Borden claim former roommates Angela Marquez and her boyfriend Gary Taylor owe for breaking a lease.
Okay. Are you still living in the apartment?
Yes, we are.
Do you have new roommates?
Not yet.
How much is the rent?
$865 a month.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a barista.
A what?
A barista.
What's a barista?
I work at Starbucks. Cashier, make drinks.
Yeah, they make burritos and stuff.
No, barista. No, really, seriously.
A
what's
barista, yeah.
Is that what it's called, a barista?
Yes.
So you work at Starbucks full-time?
Part-time.
What else do you do?
I'm a student.
How much do you make from working as a barista?
I make $7.20 an hour.
How much do you take home every week?
Every 2 weeks, I make about $200.
And that's what you support yourself on?
Myself, yeah.
And what about you?
Seasonal firefighter.
Seasonal firefighter?
Seasonal firefighter.
What does that mean?
Work with the Forest Service, so wildland firefighting, just with the summer.
What do you do the rest of the time?
Right now, I'm working as an athletic trainer.
You train people individually or what?
It's with the high school.
How much do you make?
It's $12.66 an hour, and I bring home about $2,000, a little over $2,000 a month.
Okay, so you can afford the rent.
Yes.
Great. You're going to stay in this apartment?
Yes.
Why don't you sign off on the lease?
We did, Your Honor. We tried.
No, you either did or you tried.
We did.
You did sign off on the lease.
My fiance had gone to the manager's office and asked for a release form. And we showed it to them, and they said they weren't going to sign us off if we didn't pay the February rent.
You left there because of your own safety, is that right?
Yes.
You had security deposit.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much security deposit did you put down?
$250.
That's for both of you, was the security deposit?
It was actually $450, but in half, it was about $225 each on deposit from each couple.
From each couple?
From each couple.
Okay. You moved out January 28th. Why shouldn't you be responsible for February's rent? They certainly couldn't find somebody else in 2 days to rent the apartment.
Because January, I would say the 21st, on January is a Sunday. I had like the last straw with them. I was like in a mood that I couldn't talk to them. I didn't want to just go out there and say stuff. And so finally I told Mike if we could talk. And he said, sure, meet us for dinner here at the house and we'll talk. So we talked about it. We sat there. I went first and I told her how I felt and everybody. And then she went and she said how she felt and whatnot. Well, all of a sudden, she went crazy. She went out of this world. She pulled out of her chair. She started screaming and saying, I'm not happy that you're pregnant. It's not fair that you're pregnant. I had an abortion. I did this and this and this and that. And she thought, it's my fault that I brought you together and you're pregnant. You're going to suffer and you're this and that. And then she just pulls out of her chair. She grabs the salt and the pepper. She throws it against the wall. She goes back to her room screaming and just going crazy. She comes back out of her room throwing stuff, just hitting walls and whatnot. She comes after me. Like she was this close from me, in my face, picking up her hands like she was going to come after me and hit me. Then
what was she saying to you?
Saying that she couldn't take it anymore. She didn't like living with me and Gary, that she hated the fact that I was pregnant, and she had to see me happy. She didn't want to see me happy. And I was like, okay, why don't you want to see me happy?
Oy, 20 years old and you're having a child.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Now, why were you upset?
We were all upset.
I assume you were all upset.
Yeah.
Good. I don't want to be upset.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be upset. Where are you living now?
We're living somewhere else now, in another apartment.
They signed off on the lease on January 25th.
That was the date I got the papers, and that was the day I wanted all of us to get the signatures so we can get off the lease.
Did you or did you not sign off on the lease?
We
did.
Signed it, and they had to sign it. The manager told us, we cannot get you off the lease unless they sign you off because they're still staying there.
Fine. Court will draft an order 5 days from today. Do you all live in the same town?
Yes.
Yes.
Ma'am.
You're all going to meet in the landlord's office, 9 a.m. Sign the release form. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
I am going to award you their share of February's rent because they had an obligation to pay at least 1 month's rent for you to spend that month looking for a new roommate if that's what you wanted to do. I think that that's fair, don't you?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you sign off on the lease, you will also get a check for $250 for your security deposit. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you don't go there 5 days from today, I'm giving the plaintiffs the right to come back and ask for a judgment for the remainder of the lease. And they will take it out of your pay. Do you understand?
Yes,
Yes,
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor.
Do you understand the order?
Yes.
Good. Now, let's get to what property you say they took when they moved out.
When they were moved out, they took a lot of belongings and stuff.
Oh,
when they moved
a
out.
lot of belongings doesn't help me, madam.
They took food, they took
I don't
cleaning
care.
supplies.
Are you kidding me or what? Other than food and cleaning supplies.
That's all they took.
I hope you've replaced them. You don't want the food back, do you?
No.
Good. Okay, you understand the order?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I really don't care. Like, to tell you the truth, it's over and done with, and I never have to see them again.
We wanted them out of there in February. We wanted the rent paid. We wanted it over.
We should have gotten more money out of them, I think. We all agreed from the beginning. Both of us, as couples, didn't work out. We would split and go our separate ways.
They can't stand us, we can't stand them.
We were friends.
Okay, that's fine. Judge Judy had her say in it. That's fine.
Definitely not going to a lease with people you are like weary about.
Glad it's over, and I'm just glad I'm away from her, and she's psycho.
"20-year-old physical therapy technician Levita Richter is suing her former friend, 21-year-old caregiver Adriana Falk, for bail money, a loan to get her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Miss Richter, you and the defendant had been friends, according to the complaint that I read.
Yes, sir.
And at a There was a point when she was in some difficulty. Did she come to live with you at that point?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
When was that?
About October.
October of 2004?
Yes.
Who were you living with?
My fiance.
Who's now your husband?
Yes.
Is that him?
No.
Who was this?
This is my witness.
According to you, there are 2 loans outstanding. And in addition to the 2 loans, you claim that Miss Falk owes you for this bridesmaid's dress. I assume that this is the bridesmaid's dress. She was an attendant at your wedding. They were supposed to pay for their own dresses. You claim she did not pay for hers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Falk says that both of those times when you gave her the money, it was a gift, and the bridesmaid's dress she says she paid for even though you still have it.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you go to live with Miss Richter and her fiancé, Miss Falk?
I was having some problems with my mother and needed to get out of the situation that I was in.
And when was the first time that she gave you money?
When this guy right over here got me into trouble at my employment, I was taken to jail because of him and his roommates and what they had asked me to do for them. And
well, why don't you explain that to me further?
Okay, I was working at Colusa Casino in Colusa County. And
where is that?
Part of Northern California.
Go ahead.
Me and Mr. Weiser had started dating, and him and his roommates knew obviously that I worked at a casino and asked me if I could possibly give them players cards with instant rewards on them, which is like a credit, and they can go in the casino and play. Well, I told them a number of times I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. Now I'm being charged for all 4 of those gentlemen and what they asked me to do.
Just a second. So they asked you to get them these cards, and you said no. So how could you be charged with anything?
Because I did it anyways.
Oh, so you did it. You did something illegal.
Yes, ma'am.
Levita Richter says former friend Adriana Falk owes for bail money, a loan to have her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Explain to me how you did something illegal.
I would go in and add the instant rewards to their cards. That gentleman right there would come in and play his, not only, and all 4 of his.
I don't understand
cards.
the instant rewards. What does that mean?
It's just like a credit you can go in and play on slot machines. You can't cash it out. The only thing you cash out is what you win, but you cannot cash out anything on that card.
But you can play with it?
Yeah.
And you knew you were doing, in effect, you were stealing from the casino?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm?
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody forces you to steal, madam. That's
well,
not
this
anybody.
gentleman here did.
No, he didn't. No, Miss Falk. That's not true. If I asked Bird to falsify a document for me, and I've known him for a very long time, 25 years?
At least.
At least. I guarantee you he would not do it for me. And he likes me. And if I asked somebody that I cared about to do something illegal, I would not be angry if they said, no, that's illegal.
Well, they were when I said no.
So then what you say to somebody who's asking you to do something wrong is, I'm sorry, you can be angry, and if you want to not see me anymore, you don't see me anymore. If you want to not be my friend, you don't want to be my boyfriend, whatever it is. But you don't blame somebody else for you're doing something criminal.
There are charges pending on them, but I don't know what they are yet.
Are there charges pending against you?
Yes, there is.
For what?
For second-degree burglary, and it's burglary in the second degree, and then the grand theft as well.
Oh, well, I'm not going to ask you any questions about that because those matters are pending. I'm sorry. You represented by an attorney with regard to that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stupid. Anyway, you got into trouble and she bailed you out?
Yeah. He was on his way home and he called her and asked her to bail me out of jail.
Who asked her?
I had called Mr. Weiser and told him that I was in jail because he knew that I was going to meet with the security officers at the casino that morning. Then I ended up being arrested after about an hour or 2 of questioning. I was taken into custody and arrested. And I called him. He was the first person that I was able to call. And he called her and asked her to bail me out.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Who called?
The bail bond gentleman called me at work.
Oh, but she didn't call you.
I spoke to her, and she asked me to come bail her out.
When? You said the bail bondsman called.
I talked to her after the bail bonds gentleman called. And I was allowed to talk to her. And she was crying. She said, please come get me out of this place.
You went there and you bailed her out?
Yes.
What arrangements did you make for her to pay you back?
She was to pay me back. She had promised me that she would pay me back because that's just, I wasn't just going to give it to her. I was getting married in a few months and I didn't have that money to spare.
I want to know what conversation did you have with her with regard to paying you back? Don't tell me what she understood.
She
Ms.
just
Richter.
said, you know, I promise that I'll pay you back. I thank you for bailing me out.
When did she say that to you?
In front of the bail bond gentleman, when we were signing these papers.
Let me see the papers. Okay, what was the next amount of money?
It was the $500 that I loaned her to have her car fixed.
Okay, let me hear.
She was driving a Geo Metro. It needed some repairs. It was $1,000. They have it fixed. Matt was my witness. He was going to pay half, and I was going to pay the other half. I wrote him a check. He deposited it into his bank account, and he
well, just a second. Why were you going to pay half? I don't hear what.
She didn't have the money to pay it, and it needed to be fixed, or else she wouldn't be able to drive back and forth to work.
Well, when did you have that discussion with her, Miss Richter?
It was
on the phone while I was at Winco.
It was not on the phone. She was in my...
Just a minute. Where was it?
I was at Winco with Mr. Weiser at the time, and she called me and told me that her and her husband now were going to loan me the $500.
No, just a second. She said she and her husband were going to loan you the $500. Perfect. And she did. So why don't you have to pay her back?
She had me arrested.
What did she have you arrested for?
Charges on credit card fraud.
And that's another thing that's pending against you? I don't want to hear about it. So she's alleging that you took money from her credit cards. And she called and had you arrested. Sounds right to me. $815 so far. Now let's hear about the bridesmaid's dress.
Bridesmaid's dress, I was getting married March. She was my maid of honor. I have a list of the other two ladies that were my bridesmaids. They knew they were all to pay for the dress. If they did not pay for the dress, they were to not be in the wedding. Being she was my supposed best friend living with me, I assumed that she would pay me back for it.
Don't assume anything.
That's my fault.
That's your fault is right. It's a very nice dress. I hope you can wear it. You don't assume anything. After she didn't have $315, which she didn't give you back for the bail bondsman, and $500 she didn't have for her car, really $1,000 she didn't have for her car, how you could legitimately expect her to pay for a dress, expect her to pay for a dress, is something I quite frankly don't understand. So it looks like a very nice dress. It's yours. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $815. Thanks. That's all.
Step out.
She lies and she didn't want to pay me back.
That's the way she is. She's vindictive, so it's fine.
Stabbing in the back is stealing somebody's ATM cards and her husband's museum.
I really don't care. I think it's funny and it's asinine, and she'll get what's coming to her afterwards.
I'm not friends with criminals. They go to jail.
Surya.
How long had the two of you been dating?
We dated for about 2.5 years.
Did you live together?
No.
But it is your claim that while you were dating, you made a series of loans to him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gunasegra says there were no loans, just the give and take of a normal dating relationship, and he acknowledges that you laid out some money for him. He said that that's part of the dating relationship. Is that right, sir?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. When did you start dating?
We started dating in October of 2002.
And when was the first loan that you made to him?
In July of 2004.
What was it for?
It was for a trip. We went on a couple of trips after he got back from Europe after he graduated from college. And the first trip we made was with his parents to Canada. And when we would go out, I would pay. And he would always say, oh, when we get back and I get a job, I'll pay you back. And then we went to my hometown in Georgia, and I paid for the hotel, and we went out to dinner, and he said that he would pay for half of it when we got back, and he got a job.
Well, did he ever get a job?
No.
Huh?
No, Your Honor.
He never got a job?
Not until recently.
What's next?
In August, I went to Barcelona to study abroad for the semester, and I thought he was going to stay home and get a job so he could finally get the money to pay me back. And I would question him on if he's been applying to jobs. He would say he would go into interviews, so I figured he was on a line to get a job eventually, hopefully sooner than later.
Go ahead, Sandra. I'm listening for the rest of the loans.
Okay, so then he moved to Europe, and he eventually came to Barcelona, and I paid for his rent while he lived there, and I paid for his food, and anywhere we would go out, I would pay. And every time I would give him money, he would say, "Don't worry, you know, when we get back, I'll get a job. I promise I'll pay you back."
Keep going.
Then we finally came back to the States, and he was going to interviews quite often. He would say he got a job offer, but then wouldn't take it.
Keep going with the loans, my dear.
So in March of 2005, we took a trip to Las Vegas, and I paid for everything while we were there. And then I really just got tired of him not paying me back. We got back home.
You say in your complaint that he wanted $500 to gamble with.
Yes.
And you gave it to him.
I did.
Who are these two gentlemen over here?
This is my roommate, Danny McGee, and he was in Vegas with us. And then this is my friend, Devin, and he is a mutual friend of ours. He used to hang out with us. He would see me giving Surya money all the time and him promising to pay me back.
Well, I want to hear about the promise to pay you back. Raise your hand, please.
Sorry, my
Name?
name's Danny. Danny McGee. I'm roommates with Sandy, and I went on a trip to Vegas with both of them. And there's been times in the past where she would give him money to gamble with the agreement that if he lost, she would take the loss, and if he won, that they'd split the winnings. And this trip to Vegas, she was hesitant to go because he didn't have any money. And we got out there, and I saw her $200 or $300 that he borrowed from her. And she said specifically at the time, "I'm going to give you this money, and if you lose, you owe it to me." And he agreed and actually lost all the money. And since then, I know he's had 2 jobs and has made no effort to pay her back whatsoever.
You have anything to add to this case?
Yeah, I do, actually. Should I stand up?
Yes, you should.
Okay. Well,
Your name?
my name is Devin Stinson, and I've called him before in the past, and I've said, "Hey, let's go get some food or something." And he'd say, "Well, you got to call Sandy because I don't have any money." And then I'd call Sandy, and we'd all go out, and then what would wind up happening is he would order, and then after everything was over, he would say, "Well, I don't have any money," and he'd just expect it to be paid for.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ball's in your court.
Well, first off, let me say that the only reason I went to Europe was because I had a job. I had an internship with a software company, and I had that for a while, and it didn't end up working out. My plane ticket wasn't for 6 weeks later, so Sandy and I both agreed that it would be good to spend that 6 weeks together, because I was actually living in Switzerland at the time. And so I came down to Barcelona, and I did have some income through a rental property of mine. So I was making some type of money.
Surya, how old are you?
23.
Am I correct? According to your answer, you're in law school now?
No, not till August.
Where?
Thomas Jefferson or the University of Denver. I haven't chosen one.
What college did you graduate from?
University of Colorado.
And you?
I'm still in school at the University of Colorado.
Where do you get all this money from, Sandra?
I have 2 jobs that I work.
What 2 jobs do you work?
I am the assistant manager at a bowling alley at the school, and I work for the housing department at the university.
Who's paying your tuition?
My parents are.
Did they like him?
Sometimes. Most of the time.
Well, I'm sure he can be charming.
You sure can.
When the first time you went out for dinner with him, and he said, "I'm sorry, I left my wallet in my other car. I left my wallet in Switzerland." That should have been a clue. Sounds to me, based upon what this young man has testified to, that this was sort of a regular occurrence. You would go out for a meal, he would eat, and you would pay. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Should have known better, Sandra. Who is this, by the way?
This is Ryan Watson. He's my roommate.
Does he have anything to contribute to this case?
Yeah. I'll let him explain.
I witnessed on many occasions Surya doing favors for Sandy, tutoring her and cleaning and making her dinner and things like that. And on some of those occasions, she would ask Surya to help her do those things, and Surya would say, "No, not right now, I'm busy." But then she would say, "Surya, you owe me so much money," using that against him, and he would end up doing that. So in both our opinions...
So you mean he was bartering domestic chores
Right.
for the money he owed her?
Right.
And educational, Your Honor.
Surya, do you think that Sandra tutored you in some things?
As far as school?
Anything!
It's quite possible.
She didn't charge you for it, did she?
Emotionally. She charged me.
How did she... Shh, come on, folks. Come on, behave. Let's behave. How did she charge you emotionally?
I had to put up with so much ridiculous nonsense.
Surya, that you don't have to put up with it. I don't want to hear it. You weren't tethered to a radiator, were you?
In a metaphorical sense.
No metaphorical
I was.
sense. No metaphorical
Literally,
sense.
no.
You were in Switzerland. She was in Barcelona. Nobody got a magnet and attached it to you in Switzerland. You came down there by your
own recognizance.
You're not in law school yet. Let's stick to the English you understand, sir.
Okay.
You think you took advantage of her?
I don't.
You just think that she understood what she was getting herself into. She had the money at the time. You did not.
Right.
And she wanted to travel to Vegas. You said, I'll go with you, but I have no money.
Yeah, she
And
understood
she said,
that I had no
I got the money. You pay me back when you get a job.
No, the arrangement was she was going to cover all the expenses.
Why?
Why? Because they needed a third person to go. Danny and her weren't just going to go by themselves.
Why?
Because they needed motivation. And I was that motivation.
Sandra,
Yes,
you schlepped around with him for 2 years.
Yes,
You
Your Honor.
let him take advantage of you for 2 years. So then what you do is you say, thank God I figured out that this was not Mr. Right. Before I planned a wedding with him, I had a child with him. You can sit down now, roommate. I don't think you had a valid contract with him. I think you had the hopes and the dreams of a young lady who was in love. And I'm sure that there was a time when he felt mutually. But you're a giver, and he's a taker. Somehow in his own mind, he is entitled to take. Where are your parents?
In Santa Monica?
Did they indulge you?
Not really.
It sounds to me as if you've been indulged. Switzerland, Barcelona, working, not working, looking for just the right gig. The girlfriend takes care of you. There's a sense, Surya, of entitlement. Shh, do not answer. Now it's my turn. Sandra may find you irresistible, I guarantee you, sir. I do not. So, Sandra, I wish in my heart I could say to you, you had a valid contract, which is the only thing that I'm here to address. You did not have a contract recognized in the law for him to pay you back. But I'm telling you, I think that you're lucky because you're a lovely-looking, intelligent, hard-working young lady who should not hitch her star to somebody who has a sense of entitlement and who will just use you in one way or another for your whole life. Got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Goodbye. Good luck.
Parties are excused.
Surya.
You may step out.
Grow up.
She made her decision. That's fine. I hope Sandy has a great life, and I wish her well.
We were in a relationship, but when you're in a relationship, you do things together. You cook dinner and you clean.
They're about sharing and trust.
You help the other person out when they need help, and that's all part of a relationship.
And we loved each other.
I've learned to not just give out my money to people because I think I'm in love.
She gave up.
Yep.
Is the prize. He is also the defendant. This is his wife?
Yes.
He separates from his wife in August. You take up with him almost immediately.
Yes.
Did you know he was separated at the time?
Yes.
So you knew he was married?
Yes.
How much after he left his wife did he hook up with you?
In October.
No, you met him before October. You moved in according to your complaint in
He
October.
lived next door to my parents.
With his wife or after he separated?
Both.
So as soon as the wife moved out, you started dating.
Yeah.
Big mistake. Did your father tell you it was a big mistake?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
How much of a big mistake did you tell her it was?
I told her it was a big one. I told her it wouldn't have been worth it.
So she moves in with him in October. Now, at that time, did you rented your own apartment?
I had my own place still.
And when did you become pregnant?
November.
Birth control sound familiar to you?
Yeah.
What did you say to her when you found out not only was she living with him, but she was pregnant?
They always tell me when I'm on the road, so I'll be calmed down when I get home.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Dennis?
Truck driver.
Well, then it seems that Mr. Eby decides to go back to his wife. Your lawsuit for two things. For a couple of months' rent that is still owed after he moved out, and for the value of car that you purchased for him, Mr. Dennis. You purchased an old car, $500?
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Eby says that the car was a gift and that you paid the bills while you were living there, but after you moved out, you changed the locks and you're not responsible for anything else.
Yep.
Mr. Dennis, I want you to tell me about the car.
She worked first shift. He worked second shift. She was getting off at...
Where?
She worked at a daycare, and he worked at a place called Cook's Foods. She was getting home about 4:30. He had to be to work by 4:45, which he was always being late. So I told him, I didn't tell him nothing really. I went out, I went to a car lot and asked them if they had a car for about $500. So on the way over to pick up the car, I asked him if he could get insurance on the car. And he said no. So I paid the $500, put the car in his name in case he had an accident. I didn't want to be liable for it. And then
so far, smart.
And then when they got their income tax money, I was supposed to get my $500 back. And that never happened.
What do you mean when they? You mean the two of them?
Well, he filed, but he put her kids on his income tax so he could get more money.
How many other children do you have?
Two.
You have enough children.
That's what I told her she had enough at one.
Mr. Dennis, we could have been twins. Who takes care of these three children?
I do. Well, I'm still carrying one. I take care of the other two.
Where are their fathers?
My daughter's dad is deceased, and my son's dad lives across town.
And you're still living in this house?
Yes.
Emily, you have to find another hobby. Making children is not a hobby.
I know.
Let's get to the car part.
I offered to pay him back $500 a couple weeks later at Red Lobster on the 12th of April. And he declined my money. I had the money for him. He said no.
What did he say?
He said, no, I don't want your money. I want the car. I have the title right here. And these are the things they forged.
You have the car, right?
Yep.
So try yes. It sounds
Yes.
nicer. You know, how many children do you have?
I have one.
You have one now.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Did he offer you $500?
No, he said he was willing to pay me $500 for it, but he didn't have it then.
Oh, but you said you had it.
I did have it.
Well, that's what he wants. He wants the $500. So you have no problem with that?
No, I don't have a problem with that.
Now let's talk about the rent. Ms. Dennis, when did Mr. Eby move out?
April 9th. He walked out.
Why?
He told me he's taken his daughter to his aunt's house and never returned.
Did you change the locks?
No.
What month's rent are you claiming that he owes you?
Well, I paid April's myself, and I've paid May's.
But he wasn't there in May.
Well, yeah.
Why didn't he pay any of April's rent?
Because I got my paycheck from work, and I paid it because he was in between jobs, and he didn't have a paycheck at the time to pay it.
Did you move out on April? Why are you laughing?
Because I never technically moved out of there. I came home. Locks were changed.
When?
On the 14th of April.
Okay, so how much was your half of the rent?
I paid all the rent.
In April?
Yes. All she gets for a check is from welfare.
Who paid April's rent? Do you have a rent receipt for April's rent?
Nope. She would have it. Because I don't have nothing because she wouldn't allow me back in the house.
Let me see the receipt. Did you give her cash to pay the rent?
Yep.
Let's try that again.
Yes.
Mr. Eby, these two women may find you irresistible. I guarantee you I do not.
Okay.
The only month that I'm interested in is April. The only month that you show me on a receipt for rent for April, every other receipt is nice and clear. The month, the date is nice and clear. The only date that there's something written over is April. I mean, didn't you think that I'd notice that?
I picked them up.
What happened here?
I don't know. I didn't look at
Well,
them.
I don't know either. You get money from social services?
No.
Other than your job, how do you support yourself?
My son's dad pays child support.
You get Social Security for your son, for your child whose father is dead?
No, I don't.
Why not?
because he didn't work.
Another winner. You help her?
More than we should, but yeah.
What is she going to do after her lease is up?
She's moving into our house.
Who else lives in your house, Mr. Dennis?
All of them. That's why I drive a truck.
You have 3 children? 3
Yeah.
children? She the only one with children?
No,
How many of the others have children?
all of them.
Mr. Dennis, you missed the class on teaching your children birth control.
No, they missed the class on listening.
They missed the class on listening. All right, now, Mr. Eby, you have a counterclaim, if
Well,
my
I'd
memory
like to
is
go back
correct.
for a second.
What?
Things they had forged.
You mean forged with regard to the car?
Yeah.
Listen to me very carefully. Put that down, sir. Put the papers down. Other than the fact that you told me that you agreed to pay him back, and you said to him, here's $500. I'm going to pay you back for the car. I would have ruled in your favor because there was no loan agreement. But you agreed to pay him back. So you're going to pay him back, and I don't care if they forged the Declaration of Independence. You're going to pay him back for the car.
I offered him, and he said no.
Now he says yes. Now you're going to pay him back for the car, not for the rent. She lived there. She's going to take care of the rent, and she has taken care of the rent. Now, let's get to your counterclaim.
My counterclaim is for my living room set that she still has, my entertainment stand, TV, VCR, movies, Xbox, etc., washer and dryer.
Now, did he purchase all of those things?
No, he didn't.
Who purchased them?
I did.
All of them?
Yes.
Let me see the receipts.
I don't have receipts. I didn't think I was going to get into a situation like
Well,
this.
just a second. When you moved into the house, he was already living there. So I want you to be very careful with what you tell me. Your father is a backup, and your father and I are almost soulmates here. Do you understand, Miss Dennis? You moved into his house, and because according to you, his wife left. He was still living there, and a couple of weeks later, you move in with your 2 children. Did he have furniture in his place when you moved in?
He gave it all to his wife.
Everything?
Yes, I even had to provide a bed for his daughter.
Mr. Dennis, did Aaron over here have any furniture?
Yes, he did. He did, but he
Stop doing that.
He threw tantrums once in a while, and he'd start throwing his furniture out of the house, and then by the garbage, and then they'd pick it up and haul it off. He did that a lot.
What did your daughter move in with?
Well, we carried a big screen TV in there, sofa love seat, her bedroom set, her daughter's bedroom set, and her son's bedroom set. That's what we
What
moved.
about a washer dryer?
That was already in there.
Is that yours? You want it back? Done. What else do you say that's there, sir?
TV, VCR, movies, Xbox, couch.
Well, just a second. How many TVs were in the house?
1.
That's hers.
Nope, hers got repoed.
First of all, we have 4 TVs in our home.
Oh, you do? Well, one of them must belong to him.
And he can have it. It is downstairs.
Oh, fine.
That's not the TV.
Listen to me. You're lucky I'm listening to this at all. Because you two have to find another hobby. You have enough children for a while. Caused enough damage.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I told her that I didn't understand why she would do something like she had done. He had done everything to help her. It really hurt.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Emily Dennis and her father, Rodney Dennis, are suing the father of Emily's unborn child, Aaron Eby, for rent, bills, and the value of a car. Aaron is countersuing for the return of his furniture.
Washer, dryer, and TV. He's going to pick it up 5 days from today.
Okay.
Do you speak to him?
No.
Do you?
No, but I can. I mean, it won't bother me.
Fine. Then why don't you?
He knows my number.
Why don't you make arrangements to go and get it?
All right.
So, I read your answer, Mr. Eby, and according to you, you're not even sure that this baby that Miss Dennis is having is yours. I have a feeling it is. But I'm sure you're going to do a paternity test.
Yes.
Which is a very good idea. And that means that the two of you are going to be joined in some way for the next couple of decades. So I suggest you start to act responsibly and reasonably towards each other. And he has a very calming effect. At least he did on me, had a very calming effect. So I suggest you keep him as a friend. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do the right thing with him. He's tried to do the right thing with you. Got it?
Yes.
You took him back?
Yeah, I did.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I did is fine.
Yes, I
Good.
did.
Shh, say nothing. Sit down. You taking him back is your problem, not mine. Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500 on the counterclaim. You'll have the property as I outlined it in 5 days, and Mr. Dennis will take care of seeing to it that it's picked up. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They went out to my car, stole the bill of sale, forged my name on it,
He moved in 2 weeks after I left. He was no good.
trying to get me a ticket because the cops were going to write me a ticket for possession of a stolen vehicle.
He left me for his drug addict wife. All the furniture was ours. I'm carrying his child.
Yeah, I'd like to have him be part of it, but...
For an engagement ring, he says he gave her because they were supposed to be married. She says he's the one who called off the wedding.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, it's number 78 on the calendar in the matter of Ehrlich versus Farron. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Ehrlich, you want your engagement ring back?
Correct.
She says that you owe her a small fortune, so she's countersuing for $5,000, which would make this case a wash.
That's what I understand.
So why don't you tell me about this ill-fated romance, sir?
You bet. Your Honor, Rhonda Furin is a woman that I was madly in love with, okay? We both are from Minnesota. She took a teaching job in California for a year. We dated for 2 years. This last February in Las Vegas, I proposed to Rhonda, and I gave her an engagement ring. Okay, she accepted that engagement ring.
Tell me about the engagement ring.
You bet. The engagement ring, which I have here that I bought, was $1.5 carat, okay, engagement ring. And basically, the value of it is $8,000, but I have the receipt right here. Interesting you asked about an engagement ring. The first engagement ring I gave her was 1 carat, okay? That wasn't big enough. When Rhonda came back to Minnesota, we exchanged that ring, we got a bigger one. After that second ring, we got her a third ring because that one wasn't clear enough. I got a bigger and a clearer ring for her, which was at Bediner Jewelry right there. Okay?
That should have told you something
should have
right
told me
then
something
and there,
right
sir.
there. Absolutely. Yes, it should have, Your Honor.
Go.
Basically what happened is that when we got engaged, from that night on February 7th of '97, I found out recently that Rhonda had never any intention of not only marrying me, she was not in love with me. She was basically, which I have a very crucial witness here, her roommate, basically who she lived with, that this was one big con game. Rhonda was taking me for everything I had, money, wardrobes, rent money, grocery money, everything. She was not in love with me, and the most important thing out of this whole thing is that Rhonda, you know, it is so actually embarrassing and hurtful to say this. Rhonda had already been in a serious relationship, a guy that was spending 2-3 nights a week over at her apartment with her roommate that she was sleeping with, that she was with, and basically, okay, this person that she was with was already 2 months old into her relationship when she accepted my ring on the stage of Caesar's Palace, okay, on February 7th. Now, the only thing I need to really say here is how many engaged couples, how many people ask someone to get married and that person, Rhonda, goes back to California that night with the engagement ring, we're all happy. I never heard from her. I didn't hear from her that next day. I didn't hear from her a week later. I finally called her roommate at 11 o'clock, midnight, all around the clock saying, have you seen Rhonda, my fiance? Do you know where she is, Terry? Terry was covering for Rhonda because Rhonda was with another guy. This all came out. I was made a fool of. Rhonda finally got a hold of me, Your Honor, and she said, hey, I still love you. I still want to be with you. She came to Minnesota, and what's my proof? We had an engagement dinner. My sister put on an engagement dinner. My whole family there. The ring went around the table to my cousins and aunts. She played my whole family for this act, this scam, that she was going to move back at the end of June, this month, right now. She was going to move back, and she was going to plan a May of '98 wedding in front of everybody. When she got this third ring that you have, that when she came back to Minnesota at the end of April, She took the ring, and this is very important. The jeweler says to her, "Ma'am, you can pick up the ring in the morning. I will have it mounted and set for you." "No, Mr. Bediner, that won't do any good. I need the ring right now." "Ma'am, I'd have to stay here and pay my guy till 7:30 night. They did it for her. I said, "Rhonda, can I ask you, why do you have to be home? It's Saturday night. You have a week left of vacation before you go back to teaching. Why tonight?" "I have to get back tonight." "No, I'm going to school Monday." I found out, Your Honor, that she got that ring. She took it that night. They stayed late for her. She went back to California. She moved out of her apartment from her ex-roommate. Okay, I never heard from her again. I never had a phone number. I never had a forwarding address, nothing. I never heard from Rhonda again. It was at that point just recently, 3 weeks ago, her roommate said, "David, excuse me, you ready? This is going to hurt you, but I think it's time you stop calling me because I'm in the middle of this and I don't want to be in the middle of it." She has been on the phone with you for the last 3 months. She's made up all these stories that you owe her money and that you're this and you're that, the whole thing. David, she is with another guy. This guy, I know his name. He's in the room today. She is living with him, okay? She does not love you. She wanted to get the money. You bought her all these clothes, David. You're an idiot. Her roommate was saying, you've gotten all these clothes for her and the money and the cash and everything that you've given her. I said, "Terry, I was in love with her."
Where's Terry?
Right here.
Step up here. You were Miss Fern's roommate?
Yes, I was.
How long were you her roommate?
6 months.
You've just heard him tell this very sad story. Is it accurate?
Yes. She told me from the get-go that she did not love David. She had no intentions of ever moving back to Minnesota or marrying him. She told me that he owed her all this money and she needed to keep the relationship going to get the money back from him that he had owed her.
What money did she say he owed her?
She told me that he owed on a couple credit cards that she had done cash advances on for him and other money while they were living together in Minnesota.
How much money did she say?
It was thousands from what she said.
Did she tell you she had no intention of marrying him?
Yes, on
What
more
did
than
she
one
say?
occasion. She said she didn't love him. She was doing this just to get her money back, and she was never moving back to Minnesota. She was staying here.
May I ask one thing, Your Honor? When I found this out from Terry on the phone, I was kind of playing the judge for a second. I said, "Terry, let me ask you something. Why would you tell me this? Why she is the, you're the witness, you're the roommate of Rhonda. Why would you go to bat for me? Why would you come into court for me?" And not that this is what we'll spend our time with today, because she's done the exact same thing to her roommate. She has stuck her roommate with bills, she has lied to her roommate, and she's lied about everything that, in front of me and my family. I mean, okay, go ahead. I mean, it's one lie. It's one lie after another.
Sit down, please. Could you step up, please?
My name is Jan Ehrlich. I'm David's sister. We welcomed Rhonda into our home as a guest for a week. They had gone on a trip to Cancun. They came back. We put on an engagement dinner. We announced to everybody, my aunt and my cousins, that they were getting married, passed around the ring. They happened to have been there the next night. They saw the next ring. And from the moment that David asked for the ring back, and this is something that she's done before, any information that she had gathered about our family for the week that she was a guest in our home, she tries to turn it around and use it against us. She threatened to call a family member's girlfriend and say that this family member, she saw them flirting with another woman.
I'm not interested in that.
And
now, Rhonda, you must have a side to this story, madam.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
When you lie to a judge once, they don't believe whatever you say. So I don't have to listen to whatever you say. You're a liar.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sports anchor David Ehrlich says he proposed to Rhonda D. Furin in front of a Las Vegas show audience. And she kept the ring, but not the wedding date.
First, let me see the ring.
It's sold.
Do you have a receipt?
Just a sec.
Sorry.
Just a second. Hey. She was very quiet.
You're absolutely right.
She was very quiet. Why did you sell the ring?
David owes me in excess of $10,000 on the remaining amount that he had borrowed, $40,000. And he had told me that I could keep the ring to pay off past debt.
I want to see the receipt of the sold ring.
I have his phone number and I have a
appraisal of the ring. He is saying the ring is worth
Now listen to me.
$8,000.
Don't try to dance around me. I said I want to see a receipt where you sold the ring. Not its appraisal. Not its appraisal, madam. Not anything else. I want to see from the jeweler or the person to whom you sold the ring, the receipt that you sold the ring and for how much. Do you have it?
I don't have a receipt. I just have his name and number. And
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Give it to me.
And an appraisal.
Give it to me. Now, what is this? For relative? What does that mean?
Bassem bought it for a relative of his in the Middle East.
Who's Bassem?
A neighbor of mine.
Neighbor of yours from where?
Where I reside.
And where is that?
Chino Hills.
Watch them. Mr. Basson, this is Judge Judy Sheindlin. Do you know who I am? Yes. That's correct, sir. Now you know who I am? I have some questions to ask you, sir. Did you purchase a ring recently? A diamond ring. No, is not an answer, sir. That requires a yes or a no. Did you purchase a diamond ring from Miss Furman? Mr. Basson? I know you're there, sir. The answer is yes or no, Mr. Basson. Please don't keep me on the phone. Did you buy a diamond ring from her, sir? Thank you very much, sir.
That's a good one. Order.
You, madam, are a liar. Because I just spoke to this gentleman. He said he was going to buy the ring, but he gave it back.
I don't have it.
You know what happens when you lie to a court once? Madam,
Yes.
when you lie to a judge once, they don't believe whatever you say. So I don't have to listen to whatever you say. You're a liar.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
He's lying, and I don't know. This isn't the
To
person.
extort money after 6 years.
This isn't the person I knew 6 years ago, so I don't know who this is, but this person is lying.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rhonda Furin says she loaned David Ehrlich thousands. That's why she kept the ring.
Listen to me. Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
It is clear to me that you were taken for a ride, sir. This lady wouldn't know the truth if it came up and slapped her in the face.
Thank God. Somebody
You are
actually said that.
entitled to everything that you are demanding in this complaint. You are countersuing him for $5,000. I'm not interested in a word you had to say, because you lied to me. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim, and I'm awarding plaintiff the $5,000, which is the maximum I can award him in this court. Thank you very much, Mr. Ehrlich. Be smart next time. Mr. Ehrlich, don't say anything. You just won. Listen to me. Be smart next time.
Thank you
If
very
you
much.
give a girl a ring, an engagement ring, and she asks for a bigger one, it's not somebody that I would want to live the rest of my life
Thank you
with.
very
That's
much,
all.
Rhonda. Thank you. Amen.
Step out.
Thank you.
I have a tape of him in my bed with another woman in which he blackmailed the lady for $50,000. I have his criminal record.
Let's see the tape.
I have promissory notes where he owes me $40,000.
Am I ready? No.
I have personal ads where he placed personal ads to get women to give him money.
Party's on Gilmore versus Stein. Step forward, please.
Kathy Gilmore is suing her former boyfriend, Jay Stein Jr., for his half of a Mexican vacation they took 6 years ago to restore their romance.
Miss Gilmore, you say he owes you for a 1991 trip that you took to Mexico, right?
Yes.
Could you mind telling me what took you so long?
Well, we were involved in a relationship for another 2 years after we took the trip, and even after we broke up, we continued to be close friends.
Well, in the 2 years that you were together, what did you do about collecting his half of the debt for the trip?
I would bring it up from time to time, and he would always be apologetic and promise to try to make payment when he got his tax refund or when he got on his feet.
Any of that sound familiar to you?
The part about taking the trip, yes.
So, now where have you been since 1993?
We've been in touch by phone. We live far apart, so we've always been in touch. And the topic has come up on regular occasions, and again, he always felt badly that he hadn't paid and promised to try to pay me when he could. And
why did you pay for this trip in 1991?
He had been away on a cruise ship for 4 months in the South Pacific, and we were celebrating his return. We wanted to take a vacation.
You were working on the cruise?
He was working.
What kind of work did you do on the cruise?
Musician.
And he asked me, we talked about taking a trip together, and he told me to go ahead and book the trip to Cancun. We decided to go to the jazz festival. So I did, and I charged it on my credit card with a full understanding that he was going to pay for his half.
Whose understanding?
Both of ours. And I have a letter here from him that he sent while he was on the ship, asking me to book the vacation, and he didn't care where we went as long as we were together, and had some suggestions of some ideas where we might want to go.
Does that letter say he was going to pay for half?
No, it just says it doesn't matter where we go as long as we're
Just
together.
says book it. You've heard the phrase statute of limitations. You know what that means?
Yes.
Tell me your interpretation of what that means.
You only have a certain amount of time that you can recover your money.
Right. And there is a logical reason for that, because I usually don't feel compelled to abide by any particular state legislation, because people who come to this court come from all over the country. And even I could not learn all the laws of every jurisdiction, because they're all different. But there is a common sense reason for a statute of limitations, and that is that people only keep bills and papers and receipts for so many years. And after that, they destroy them. So if you have a lawsuit, you are encouraged by the law to be prompt in filing it, so that not only do you have the proper paperwork, but the defendant against whom you are filing the lawsuit has an opportunity to defend himself or herself. In this case, somebody who would have to show me his visa back 6 years ago, which I assume you don't have.
I have it.
You do?
Yes.
You are a terrific guy. However, most people don't. You are certainly a compulsive guy if you've got your bills dating back 6 years. How long did it take you to find those?
A few minutes.
God, you want to come to my house? But that's the reason. So I would like to take a look at it.
Sure. I understand that. The reason I never filed in court was because we had always been friends. There had always been an acknowledgement up until July of 1996 that he was going to pay me the money. And suddenly, he severed all contact in July of 96. I was shocked that suddenly he was acting as though he didn't owe me the money. And that
Did you ever tell her that you owed her this money?
No, there was never an agreement between us. And there was a time of 2 years where we didn't have any contact.
That's not true. I have phone bills. I have them all here.
Are you married now, sir?
No.
You with somebody else? Mm-hmm. For how long?
Almost a year now.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Look, Miss Gilmore, whether you believe that you had a right to rest on this alleged debt for 6.5 years because you were still on speaking terms with him or not, I find that you waited too long to pursue this claim. And you didn't even immediately after your breakup. You weren't even vigilant at that time. I'm not going to go into why you are 7 years later pursuing this matter, which doesn't involve a lot of money. It involves a relatively small amount of money. I don't know why. Is there any particular reason why right now you are pursuing this claim for, what is it, $1,500?
Yeah, $1,600.
Why?
Well, mainly because the entire time that I was waiting and hoping for him to pay me back, I wasn't in a financial position where I really needed the money. A couple of years ago, I moved to New York, and it's a very expensive place to live, and I thought, you know, this is a lot of money that he owes me. I really should have this. This belongs to me. And that's why I pursued it with him a little more diligently, and he promised to try to borrow it from his sister. And I have a witness that listened to that conversation, that heard what he said.
Oh, really?
I do.
When was that conversation?
It
Just a
was
second.
July of '96. I was advised that I should have a witness.
Do you remember that conversation where you then orally acknowledged that you had a debt to her?
No, Your Honor.
No. You say you have
That's
a
not
witness.
true, Your Honor.
Miss Gilmore, you say you have a witness to that?
I do.
I'd like to hear that witness.
My witness is not here. I have a
Then
signed
I have
statement.
no witness. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Please excuse. You may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy. They were two angry nurses who came to blows over a cockatoo.
I hope that I am never put in a hospital and have to deal with two people like you.
Real people. Judge Judy.
He's lying, and I don't know. This isn't the
To
person.
extort money after 6 years.
This isn't the person I knew 6 years ago, so I don't know who this is, but this person is lying. Well, I guess I won't be speaking to you ever again, but,
Nope.
you know, oh well.
All rise. Your Honor, this is number 90 on the calendar in the matter of Farkas versus Bull. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Mr. Farkas, if you tell me the story in as interesting a manner as you wrote it in your papers, it's going to be a fun morning. So, relax and tell me your story.
Well, I was traveling westbound on Sunset Boulevard heading towards Highland. I get to the corner of Highland with a plan to make a right turn. I'm in the far right lane. The light changes. I move forward a foot or a yard. All of a sudden, bam! Mr. Bull over here smashes me from the middle lane of Sunset because he's decided to make a right turn onto Highland. So we pull into a strip center right nearby, and I'm reaching for my documents. I'm just trying to compose myself, and he saunters over to my window, and, you know, in his way, oh, I'm so sorry I did this. This is terrible. I had my mind on other things, and I'm getting a divorce. I'm saying, please, I don't want to know. Just let's go with the license and registration. So I look at his license.
I divorce? I just got married, so how can I be getting a divorce?
I'm going to get to you in a second.
I read his license. Dwayne Xavier Bull, license expires in '95. Do you have insurance? No, this I don't have. I look at his license plates, New Mexico license plates. So what are we going to do? He says, I just want to pay for it. Why don't you just take it over to a... So I asked him, what beseeched you? What possessed you to make this turn?
Your Honor,
he says, I saw my boyfriend on Highland Avenue with another man, and I got so upset. I said, I'm not interested. What are you going to do? He says, I'm going to pay. He says, I'm going to pay for it. I tell him I'm going to go right now to get an estimate, and I'm going to bring it to you, and you'll pay for it, and we'll forget the whole thing. Now, the man, can I show this to the judge, please?
Yeah.
The day, exactly at the incident, I wouldn't leave the scene without him signing this. It clearly says, Dwayne Xavier Bull agrees to pay me. He caused the accident. Fine, so he does it. So what happens next? I call him and call him and call him. No answer. He gives me his pager. His salon is on Sunset. Following morning, I walk into his place of business. I walk in, and this young lady takes over. Divorce, marriage, the French woman, I don't know, but she starts. Excuse me, I will handle this. Dwayne has no money. Well, that's good. That's good. What are we going to do? But we want to fix your car, so we want you to take your car to Vahe.
To who?
Vahe.
Vahe.
So Vahe, the Armenian auto body repair. It's right. There's more documents to establish it. I pick up the telephone. I say, I'm not leaving here till I speak to Vahe, so it's perfectly clear that Vahe fixes my car, he pays for it, and I go home. I call up Vahe, and I say, Vahe, do we understand each other? Dwayne Xavier Bull, I'm going to bring my car to Jenemsveld in the valley somewhere, and you should only know where, I don't know where it is. You have to take a cow to get there. So, Vahe, do we understand each other? You're going to fix the car, and Dwayne Xavier Bull is going to pay for it. He says, No problem. We know Dwayne. You bring your car. You be very happy. Following morning, my wife and kid in tow with the Camry behind us. We're trucking out to no man's land. Oh, excuse me. Here's the document that says that he agrees to pay Varaz Auto Repair when I bring the car to him.
Okay.
Dwayne, can you give me a chance?
Mr. Bull, I'm going to let you tell the defendant's side of the story as soon as he's finished, okay? Go ahead.
So I get to Varaz. Vahez, a very nice guy, says, leave the car, no problem. On my way home, I'm telling my wife, there's no shot in the world that this problem is over. Sure enough, like clockwork, Vahez' boss calls me. Bob the Armenian. Bob, we have a problem. Of course we have a problem. Dwayne Bull didn't come to pay for the car, right. He says, we agreed that he would just pay for the parts and we'll give him time on the labor. The man doesn't come. So I start calling him, Vahez calling him, Bob is calling him. The man doesn't return calls. Finally, he threatens me on the telephone. I called West Hollywood Police. He says to me, if you call me and harass me anymore, I'll have people beat you up. I call West Hollywood Police, but they're busy with seatbelts. They can't handle this.
How long are you in California, sir?
Not long.
How long were you in California at the time of this accident?
Unfortunately, only about 60 or 90 days, and although it's not relevant to the case, 45 days before this incident, I move into a house on April 4th, and the following day I wake up in the morning and the house is on fire. I'm carrying my baby out in the fire at 2 o'clock in the morning. And oh yes, we heard it enough. Well, here's an official document from the fire department establishing that happened. I know it's not relevant. I'm sorry.
It has nothing to do with the case.
Okay, so did you get your car?
I actually paid for it yesterday for a full month. I mean, this man wreaked havoc on my life.
How much was the...
$1,800.
It was 19 at first.
Excuse me.
You want to pay 19?
Excuse me. The day I came to him in the salon, I showed him the first estimate that I told him I would get was for 18 and change. Varaz, his own people, estimated at 1,800. And that's what I paid for it.
$1,800.
$1,800. So this is his own people. This is Vahez' estimate.
Okay, Mr. Bull, you've been anxious to tell me your side of the story. Now I'm prepared to hear you, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Farkas' car. He agreed to pay for the repair. He never came by to pay for it.
Paper.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dwayne Bull, a Hollywood hair and makeup specialist, says his collision with actor Peter Farkas on Sunset Boulevard was Farkas's fault, and he shouldn't have to pay for the damage.
Now I'm prepared to hear you, sir.
Okay, Your Honor, the way I see it is, yes, he is correct. I was traveling west on Sunset Boulevard.
Stop playing with the papers. Talk to me.
Okay, I was just looking for a little document I wanted to show you as an exhibit. Okay, here it is. I was traveling west. Could you pass this to her, please? I was traveling west on Sunset Boulevard. Now, he was in the far right-hand turning lane, and it was 5 o'clock traffic. I truly believe that he was in that lane because on Sunset Boulevard, people get in that lane to speed to go fast. Your Honor, the way I was hit on the way my car personally was hit, if you look at the estimate, it was hit on my right side front door. Okay, so what I did was I put a signal to turn right. I think he was in this lane to go forward because he was not in our sight, nor did he have a signal.
So you weren't
car.
You weren't in the far right lane, correct?
No, I wasn't. I signaled to go.
You were not in the far right lane. You were in the center lane.
Yes. No, the lane next to the far right lane.
But he was in the far right lane.
Yes, right. Exactly.
So you went to make a right turn.
No, I signaled to
You
make
went
a right
to
turn.
make a right turn.
Yes.
And you were not in the far right lane.
No.
Right. You got out of the car. You went over to this gentleman. You signed a piece of paper indicating that you were prepared to pay for the damage. Right?
Yes. I had not even had the car a day, okay? And yes, I was nervous because I did not have insurance. And yes, I was nervous.
You didn't have insurance?
I didn't have insurance, and I didn't have a driver's license.
That's right.
Okay, so yes, I really was nervous.
So you didn't want, listen to me.
So I didn't want trouble with the police department.
That's
right. But not only that, he got personal with me. He asked me, was I gay, okay? And I responded, no, he was coming on to me at the time. And I played with the party too. Yes, I'm married, but of course I'm going to play into it because I didn't want the police. And I felt if he thought I was gay, then maybe he liked me. It's obvious. He's Nelly.
Okay. Mr. Bull. Now
this is proof.
I want you to stop talking. Listen to me. I'm going to ask questions. You're going to answer them. He came to your salon. Now, he got to Viha, the Armenian, through you. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm being totally honest. I was nervous. That's the only reason I signed this paper. I did not want to go to jail. Okay? My wife told me, listen, this guy is at fault. He's in our business, and he's screaming, irate, loud. He's from New York. He's obnoxious. It's obvious he's obnoxious. Look at him. Okay? He calls on my phone repeatedly. He tells me about his house caught on fire, how his kids are hungry. He needs his van to transport his kids, all this irrelevant stuff, while I have very important clients that are there. In fact, my wife is here as proof that I had a client that sit there in the chair when I disputed with him for 20 minutes in my business, screaming because he has no patience and he acts immature. He screamed, 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 and I lost the client. She requested her $150 deposit back for, you know, the services that were being rendered, her hair extension. I am a popular hairstylist, and only thing I ever stated to this man is that when you want to speak to me, you do not call me at home and you make an appointment like everybody else.
Is that what is? Just a minute. Have we now completed your side of the story?
No, I have one more thing to say.
I'm ready to hear you, sir.
Your Honor, again, yes, I admit that my driver's license had expired. But again, from the way my car was hit, he said I hit him. It's obvious he hit me. From the way
that's really not urgently important, sir. I'm going to tell you why. Mr. Farkas had the right at that time, because there was an accident, to pick up the phone and call the police to have them come to the accident.
But why didn't he?
Why? Because
I had...
No, because you had problems with your license, too. I'm almost certain you did. You had some kind of problem.
You looked at my license and said, you know, you're a typical Gemini.
Mr. Bull, you, sir, had no insurance and did not want the police to come because you were also driving with a suspended license. He gave up the right to call the police, to have the police come and make a determination based upon, don't interrupt me, based upon what they saw, whose fault this accident was. You said to him at the time,
he never mentioned police.
I will take care of the damage, and you signed a piece of paper indicating you would take care of the damage.
I signed that paper again because I was nervous.
Well, I don't care whether you were
Anybody
nervous or
signs
not.
paper, I mean, under
not,
pressure.
listen,
I mean, I was nervous.
I want you to get not nervous,
My
Mr.
personal
Bull.
lifestyle had nothing to do with this case whatsoever. And for him to mention those things about my personal, I think that it was very irrelevant. And it's obvious that, again, from the way the position my car was hit, that it was his fault. But, of course, he's not going to admit it.
Your Honor, I was doing...
And you did real good.
I was doing the man a favor.
Doing me a favor.
He's telling me about his wife
problem.
Telling me about the two-timing boyfriend. I mean, the man's got, you know, his sexual confidence. He's a menace on the road.
Mr. Farkas. Mr. Farkas.
I'm sorry. What the hell's so funny?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
He has no idea what my feelings are if I like to ride bicycles. He doesn't know that about me.
I dated him for 6 months. We've been friends for 9 months since then.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Mr. Farkas, you paid the $1,800 to have your car fixed? Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. The defendant's counterclaim for harassment and all sorts of other things is dismissed.
Thank you, Judge.
Is our excuse, you may step out.
But you were very smart about getting those papers, because that's the only reason why you won this case. But other than that, she would have looked at it for my way. And another, I just think it's because you're blonde and blue-eyed.
I am absolutely convinced that Mr. Bull had his name shortened.
And now the next case.
All parties on Ryder versus Pullman. Step forward.
30-year-old marketing director Kirk Ryder says he loaned his bicycle to his ex-boyfriend Klaus Pullman, and it was stolen. So now Klaus should pay.
All right. Mr. Ryder, you say that you lent a bicycle to the defendant, and he had it in his possession for a long time, and then through his negligence, the bicycle was stolen. You want your money for the bicycle?
Well, I wanted a new bicycle, basically.
Did you lend him a new bicycle?
Pardon me? No, I
What
wanted
didn't you understand, sir?
I wanted my bicycle back.
Well, he couldn't give you your bicycle back.
Right. So we entered
So my
into...
question to you is, did you lend him a new bicycle?
No, I did not.
How old was the bicycle that you lent to him?
The bicycle was 3 years old.
And had you purchased it?
No.
How did you get it?
It was, I inherited it from my best friend who died.
And what kind of bicycle was this?
It was a Univega Via Modego, 15-speed, hybrid bicycle.
What? What happened to a Schwinn?
I don't know.
Schwinns are more expensive now.
Are they?
Yeah.
I'm glad to see if they're still in business. At least it doesn't date me.
They are.
All right. So you had the bicycle for how long before you lent it to him?
I had the bicycles since July 1996 when my friend died. And Klaus borrowed it in or around November, I guess. I'm not even sure.
Well, then I gather you weren't using it much.
Well, I was traveling. I travel for a living, so I don't know which trip he borrowed it before. He borrowed it because his car broke down in the desert, and he was using his bicycle to get around. Then the bicycle he was using that he owned broke, and I offered to lend him mine.
So far, does that sound right?
Yes, except for when he loaned it to me.
When did he loan it to you?
In June, in the summer.
Of 96?
Of 96.
What happened to his bike?
It was stolen.
Mr. Pullman, you understand if the bike is in your possession, then you have a responsibility to either replace it or to give him some compensation for it.
He neglected the bicycle. He didn't want the bicycle. It didn't work. It sat in his dining room for 2 years while he was traveling.
Objection.
It didn't work.
Your Honor. What? Sorry. Well, he has no, that's speculation. He has no idea whether I wanted the bicycle or not. I, out of the goodness of my heart, lent him a bicycle that had some emotional value to me as well as physical value of getting around.
So it doesn't seem to me, I mean, have you been friends for long? It's just too bad that this bicycle is presenting a problem to you. Why don't you just replace the bicycle?
Because he didn't want the bicycle. He left it. I took care of it. I didn't neglect it. I locked it with my bike, with my roommate's bicycle. It was in my garage. All three were stolen. He didn't want it. He liked it in my garage and not in his dining room. That's why I had it for so long. He didn't want to come get it. He wouldn't let me return it. He travels a lot, so it was his schedule that was in question. I work at home. I'm always there. He neglected the bike. He gave it to me. He didn't give it to me. He loaned it to me. Asked me to keep it for him. He
loaned you the bike.
I took care of it.
Good.
I housed it.
Good.
It was stolen. It's out of my control.
Right.
He neglected the bike a year ago. He loaned it to me a year ago this month.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
Yes. Well,
he moved 2 blocks away from my house when he moved to West Hollywood.
Mr. Pullman.
He could have returned it.
Mr.
And
Pullman.
also, wait, one more thing. I believe that he did neglect the bike because I lent him the bike with a kryptonite lock, and he did not use that lock. He used a chain which could be cut easily.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. Kirk Ryder says his ex-boyfriend Klaus Pullman should pay for the bicycle he borrowed because it was stolen while in his possession.
The only thing that I have to decide is on a value of this bicycle because you did not purchase it. To replace it is a problem because to replace it, what you're seeking is the full replacement value of the bike, which is, you say, $399 to replace a bike of similar quality. Is that what you indicated?
Which is actually less than the bike that was stolen is valued at.
Well, bicycles, listen to me, sir. Bicycles are not like diamonds. They don't appreciate in value.
Oh, I know that.
They depreciate in value. So if it had been bought for $500, it depreciates probably 50% in the first year that somebody has it. So then you're down to $250. That's after 1 year. So you're not going to get anywhere near what this bicycle would cost new. But you have to pay something to him, sir. You accepted it into your care. That's what we call almost a bailment. Even if he was storing it at your house and you agreed to accept it for storage, right, you have a certain responsibility towards it. You said something about this lock.
It's a standard bicycle kryptonite lock. He loaned it to me with the bicycle, but he didn't loan me the key.
So what'd you do with his lock?
The lock is with the bicycle. It stayed with the bicycle. It has a holder for it.
Okay.
Which I couldn't get off without a key.
A tire pump and also a water bottle and cage. All accessories to the bike, which added to the value.
Mr. Ryder, stop getting so excited. It's a bicycle. It's a bicycle that you didn't ride and you didn't miss for a year.
I did ride, Your Honor.
You're irritating me. Listen to me. From the time you lent it to him until March of this year, according to your own statement, you really did not make a request for this bike.
I made one request.
Wait, so evidently
No,
it
I
wasn't
made two. I made two.
Evidently it wasn't something that was right at the forefront, the signpost on your face. You know, it was
Well,
just
I didn't ride it because it wasn't in my possession. I had loaned it to a friend. That's why I was not riding the bicycle.
And your friend is going to give you $150 that you can use towards purchasing a new bike. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
We had talked about my replacing, compensating him for the loss of the bike, not because I felt responsible, but because I felt sorry for him.
Bottom line, he's bitter. There's a long, deep story that goes farther than this, but it's because he's bitter.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 96 on the calendar in the matter of Cheatham versus Oldenkamp, Celine.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me first say that when you prepare papers for court, which are a complaint and an answer, and in your case a countersuit, you're supposed to prepare them so that the judge, in reading over a file, can understand the nature of your lawsuit. And quite frankly, sir, I don't understand what you're suing for. Something about a computer, something about slander. I have no idea how this problem started. And quite frankly, I don't understand your countersuit either. So, go ahead, Mr. Cheatham.
Now, there are three separate cases, as you know. The first case is that I had to move out of my apartment because it had gotten flooded. And Roy was coming over and using the computer every day because we were working on a play together.
So you were writing together?
No, we were working together.
What
on
does
the
that
play.
mean?
He was doing the publicity, and at the time, I had a client that was doing the play.
What do you mean you had a client that was doing the play?
I had a client who was the star of the show, of the Dorothy Dandridge show. So he was, and so he didn't have a computer, so he was coming over all the time to use a computer.
So you're in the publicity business?
I was helping him out, yes, working for him at his place of business. And
Which was his apartment?
His apartment, right.
That got flooded?
I never heard anything about getting flooded or saw any evidence of it.
Go ahead.
So John suggested, John is my housemate, decided that we should leave the computer with Roy while we were out of the apartment and they were repairing it.
Okay.
That's the
Apartment
first
got
part
flooded.
of the case.
You had your computer. You left it with him.
Yes.
Okay. Who bought this computer?
Me.
Do you have his computer?
I have the computer he gave me as partial payment for back wages due for work I did at his address, which is also his business, which I worked at for a year and a half, helping him not just do one play, but his entire business. And I have files and evidence of the things I did, some of the things that I did while I was there.
Well, so you say he handed this computer over to you as partial payment for the work?
Yes, he said that he was in the process of brokering a deal to sell a painting by Goya, the artist, that his commission, he was selling it to a Hungarian count, and his commission would be at least $350,000.
Did you tell him that?
Your Honor, I can't talk about that case. That case is being in litigation as we speak.
Well,
yes.
you have to talk about it, sir.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why. Because he says that you gave him this computer, but that you were working on a big deal and that hopefully you were going to get your computer back. Is that right?
No, he was going to pay me more money additionally. The computer was partial payment for monies due. And he came over to my house, set it up, and said he'd have more money for me when this went through this brokering deal, which I don't know anything about how it happened after that.
Had you owed him any money, sir?
No. Not for work.
Well, how was he being compensated for doing the publicity?
He was working for the show. He was not working for me. He was working for J.H. Doyle Production, and I have the witness to that effect.
This witness?
This witness.
Would you stand up, please?
Certainly.
Who are you?
I'm Sloan Robinson. And
what do you do?
The actress that was doing the play Yesterday Came Too Soon, the Dorothy Dandridge story. And I know that at that time, Roy came on to our production as a publicist. And I do know that they were working together on that production.
That's one thing I did.
The checks for that were supposed to come through Clarence to Roy.
I never got paid for that either.
And
just a second. One thing.
From my knowledge, Mr. Cheatham was not responsible for paying Roy's fee.
That was the production
actress.
She would have no knowledge.
The
How do you know
production
that?
company was supposed to be paying his fee.
How do you know that?
That's
Where's the
what I
person
was
from?
told.
You can't tell me what you were told.
Okay.
Sit down.
Okay.
Just a second. Were you doing any other work for him other than on this particular Dorothy Dandridge story
Yes, ma'am.
play?
That play was only 3 months long in its entire gestation to the end of that play. I worked for Clarence for a long time, for I'd say over a year and a half, doing many other projects.
Well, why did you work for him for nothing, sir?
Well, I didn't. He paid me twice out of the amount I gave him. I have some invoices I'd given him also. And both times that he paid me, he paid one time I came to him and told him I wanted some money. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pay an electric bill for you. How's that? So he paid the electric bill. The check bounced, of course. And then he did another payment with another fraudulent check that bounced.
I knew.
Just a
he
second.
really hasn't paid
So
me.
the answer is, all this year and a half, he didn't pay you.
Well, that's the Hollywood side of it. He is also my agent. So as my agent, he constantly would tell me, well, Roy, as soon as these deals break, I'll have the money for you. He's a very smooth talker. It's what he does.
Just a second. So you were working for him, but he was also your agent and supposedly working for you.
Yes.
He needed money because Clarence never got him any work as a writer. So Clarence said, well, work for me as well while we're trying to get all this done.
Plus, I had a full-time job all this time.
How do
This
you
was just
expect?
additional
Are you
work.
a writer, sir?
No, I'm not a writer.
Well, what do you do?
I manage some writers, and I arrange funds for various film projects. And I was
When did you give him this computer to keep for you?
It was in March or April or something like that. I don't remember. But I know that what had happened, as I said, the apartment flooded. We had to leave the apartment until they fixed it. And I didn't want to put it in storage. He was working on the play. So therefore, I was trying to be a decent person and just let him keep it. But he said that John owed him money, and that I owed him money. He has never given me any invoices. I've not ever paid. He wasn't working for me. He had a full-time job. How could he work for me?
He has copies of
I
the
work
invoices.
all day.
Clarence, I worked for you weekends
have
and
not
after
worked
work
for
all the
me.
time. I was at your house burning the midnight oil.
This accordion file on the floor is a partial bit of the work Roy's
Who are
done
you?
for him.
Just a second. Who are you?
I'm his sister, and we
what do
live
you have?
together.
Are you in business?
He's suing
He's
Giselle.
suing me for slander.
That's the one
No,
who
just a second.
slandered.
You're his sister. Are you in business with him?
I help him out occasionally, but I'm not technically in business with him, no.
This is getting very complicated. How much time do I have this afternoon?
Not much.
Do you, you're Mr. Olden?
Olden Camp, yes, ma'am.
Olden Camp. You have a lot of businesses?
I work full-time job in the daytime. And then
What
I
do you
help
do?
them out. In the daytime, I work administrative services at a company in the Valley. That means we help do supply and for an entire building of 200 people.
And you live alone, sir?
I live with Giselle.
We're roommates.
Right.
Fine. Do you have your own computer?
I have my own laptop computer, yes.
Fine. Give him back his computer. That's one. Give him back his computer. That's the way he makes a living. You don't have another computer, do you?
No, I don't.
His laptop is
just a sec.
mine as well.
What?
We both use the laptop.
Good. You can only use it one lap at a time. His computer goes back there. Now, what's next?
The next is that Giselle,
that's her,
called Sloan, who I was working with, who's a business associate, and she will testify. And on the message, Sloan had said, Clarence, you have to listen to this message. I said, I really don't want to listen to it. It wasn't interesting, so she had to finally talk me into listening to it. And I quote exactly to you what Giselle said. It's the most heinous of things that you could ever accuse a human being of. She said, and I'll give you a copy of it, I just want to warn you about Clarence. He had the police come here about 1 o'clock this morning, which is true. I don't know what's wrong with him. He has turned his anger at me and Roy for some reason. You know he was arrested for child molestation last month. He has just lost it. I just want to tell you to watch out for him. Let's have lunch.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I am not in fear of this man.
Why are you not in fear of this drunken guy who gets on the pipe? This guy is dangerous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Clarence Cheatham, a Hollywood agent, says his former client, Roy Oldenkamp, did not return his computer, and that Roy's sister, Giselle Celine, slandered him.
Did you leave that message on the machine?
Yes, I did.
Would you tell me first why, and then I'd like you to tell me what proof you have that Mr. Cheatham was in fact arrested on a charge of child molestation?
I called and left that message because Sloan, in addition to being a client of Clarence's, is a friend of mine. She's been to my house, we're friends, and I look out for my girlfriends. I'm afraid of this man now, and I wanted her
Joselle, I'm sorry.
What now? That answers the why.
Right.
Now let's go to the proof. What proof do you have
Clarence
that this man was in fact arrested for anything?
Okay. Clarence called my brother at my home.
This brother?
Yes, he called us to bail him out of jail that night.
She was at the house at the same time when he called.
This is my witness who was also there. They were home working. So Roy put it on speakerphone so he could continue working while Clarence was blethering away. And this is the witness that also heard the conversation of Clarence saying, can you bail me out? I've been picked up on child molestation charges.
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is James Shefflin.
James?
James Shefflin.
Mr. Shefflin.
Yes.
What do you do for a living, sir?
Okay, I manage a rock and roll band, and Roy is stepping up as my publicist. And we do a lot of late evenings. And,
so you were at home in the evening.
I was at his home.
Their home.
Right.
And what happened?
And he got a phone call, and Roy always puts the call on speakerphone.
You mean he picks it up on speakerphone?
I just push speaker.
Push.
You push speakerphone.
So he doesn't have to stop what he's
saying.
saying.
And what did you hear, sir?
I heard that he was calling and asking for help to get out of jail. He said, I need help getting out here. Is there any way you can possibly get me out?
Okay. Mr. Cheatham.
Yes.
Were you, in fact, arrested?
Not for child molestation.
That's not what I asked you, sir.
No.
Listen to me. I'm asking you a question. Were you, in fact, arrested?
Yes. Nobody bailed me out.
Mr. Cheatham, you were, in fact, arrested?
Yes.
When?
I have April or February or March, something like that. I don't even remember.
Did you, in fact, call Mr. Oldenkamp?
I didn't. Perhaps John called him. I don't remember calling him.
But you could have.
But I could have.
And you could have called him and asked him to come and bail you out.
You don't bail out child molesters.
Oh, you'd be surprised, sir. You'd be surprised. Did you call and ask them to help you?
No. John is my witness to that. No one. I asked no one because I didn't want anyone to even know that I was there. I was arrested on a $250 charge for disorderly conduct, and hey, you spend one night in jail and you're out.
Let me ask you this question, sir. Was the original charge disorderly conduct?
That was the original charge.
No, the original charge is child molestation.
Just a second.
Who did I molest?
A Hollywood producer's daughter.
Shh. Mr. Oldenkamp.
A 25-year-old
Mr. Old, hey. Tell me the circumstances surrounding your arrest, sir.
The circumstances surrounding my arrest, I went to help a friend move. She said her car wouldn't start. I was standing there to call AAA. The next thing I knew, all these white policemen were up on me. There were 10 of them. Because somebody had called and said that we were about to rob, John and I were about to rob them. So, they've called a cab, put us in a cab, and then this cab driver said, well, you guys are probably taking us somewhere to rob me. I just laughed, you know. So and he drove us back, left us at the garage, and as soon as I walked out, they didn't touch John. They arrested me for disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct. I have no idea. I was there for one night. It was a $250 fine that every man in that jailhouse laughed at me. You can't get $250. Every man, I'm in there with dope dealers, pushers, murderers, and everything. And here it is that they're laughing at me. I was the butt of their jokes because I couldn't come up with $250 to get out of jail. It was a $250 fine. You will not, you know, so therefore, never for child molestation. A 25-year-old, you don't molest them. You don't molest
What's
a
25-year-old?
He said a Hollywood producer's daughter. Yeah, that's what he said. He said
Clarence
it was a Hollywood producer's daughter.
Clarence told me on the phone.
25 years old.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What happens? This is the payback that I get. I mean, I hope his bad karma is ending here. I hope people in Hollywood will be warned.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hollywood agent Clarence Cheatham is suing Joselle Celine for slander.
The true text of the conversation, as he called us, was that Roy, I'm in jail. I've been arrested. I think he said Van Nuys Police Department. He says, you won't believe it. I was arrested for child molestation. I was drunk. I was at a producer's house. I accidentally grabbed her daughter. Of course, he'd say accidentally. She had a cell phone in her hand, ran in the bathroom, locked the door, and called 911. They came and arrested me and took me out of the building. This, I'm just
Why don't you ask
This
John?
is what the phone conversation was.
Why don't you ask John?
First of all, Mr. Cheatham, how many times have you been arrested in your life?
One. I was shocked. I was shocked to be arrested that time.
Who are you?
My name is John Taylor. We sit together, and I mean the whole child molesting thing is not.
Well, just a minute. Were you there when he made the phone call to the defendant?
No.
Okay, then you can sit down.
But he was there when I was arrested. He knows why I was arrested.
Just a second.
Did I call Roy? That's the issue
No,
here.
You don't know whether he called him or not.
I couldn't call anybody out of the courthouse because
no,
I didn't know how to use the phone.
Mr. Cheatham, I want to tell you something. I believe, sir, that you called him. There's no question in my mind that I believe that you called him.
I called him.
I did not call Roy. I don't remember calling him. Perhaps John
No,
might
you
have
don't.
called
You may
him.
not remember calling him, but he knows your voice, sir, as opposed to this gentleman's voice.
Well, I don't think he's telling the truth. They're pulling at straws. They're pulling at straws. Giselle lied and said I was a child molester. That's the issue here, that she slandered me to a business colleague of mine. That is what we have. That's what we have. Has nothing to do with that.
Oh,
this is a business client of mine, and you know it.
Just a second. Well, let me ask you this question, madam. Did you believe the fact that he was a child molester?
No, I did not.
Good. Then we don't have a problem.
There you go.
Because in order for you to prove damages, sir, if she published this
She's no
information...
longer working with me.
Listen to me.
She's no longer working with me as a client, so therefore I've lost income.
No, listen.
Okay.
Mr. Cheatham.
Judy, can I just say something?
Mr. Cheatham, there are two things. I have to make a judgment as to whether the phone call was made and whether I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made by you, Mr. Cheatham. I don't know whether you were drinking that night or not. This is the person with whom you reside. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So I believe the phone call was made. I believe this person, that he overheard that phone conversation, at least part of it. I don't know why, madam, you felt it necessary to transmit that information to anybody else. There must have been some bad blood, but clearly you didn't believe it, correct?
No, we're not
Did you
friends.
believe?
She did that to malign him because I'm his client.
Did you believe that it was true?
No, I did not.
Did you believe that he had been arrested?
Apparently not.
That I had no question. I don't know. That's possible.
That's
but
possible.
as far as him being a child molester, no.
Okay, so you didn't believe it?
No.
Okay, so did you tell anybody else that he was a child molester?
No.
Or that you thought he was arrested for child molestation?
Absolutely.
Did you tell anybody else that?
No.
Okay, so she didn't believe it, so that takes care of that. All right, now I'm going to get to your counterclaim.
I've not been served with such.
You were never served with a counterclaim?
I was never served
You were
with
served by Dan West 2 weeks ago.
I have not ever been served with a cross complaint. Why would I stand here and lie about that?
Well, I don't know, Clarence. That
Where
sums up the last
would he
half
have
hour.
served me 2 weeks ago?
He served you 2 weeks ago at your abode, wherever you live.
Well, let me...
I do
just
not
one
have
second.
a counterclaim
Just one
against
second.
me.
I'm
I
gonna
cannot
check
be sued for something that
Listen
I
to
don't
me.
know about.
Listen to me. I'm going to go back and check our court records and see whether or not we are in receipt of a filed counterclaim with proof of service.
Perhaps
Do you understand?
are, but I'm not. And perhaps you are, I'm not. I don't know anything about a counterclaim because I certainly would have answered it.
Well, Mr. Cheatham, you can either finish this case in court today.
I want to finish it today.
Then you want to let me see what this cross complaint is about?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see if I have the papers. Just wait here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's a nut. I can't believe that he started this whole ball rolling in the first place. The man is simply a nut.
Order. Quiet, please.
Mr. Roldenkamp.
Yes, ma'am.
The plaintiff could not have been served 2 weeks ago with your counterclaim,
What?
sir, because you only filed your counterclaim 5 days ago.
It was
So he can't have been served, sir, with your counterclaim before you filed it. Your countersuit is dismissed without prejudice. You can refile it if you wish and serve him.
That's fine.
And within 48 hours, the computer is to be returned to him.
I don't want him near me to pick up that computer. Can I have someone pick it up?
We will make arrangements for the computer to be picked up.
Thank you. I fear for my safety with him.
You certainly should. We're done.
Step out the back to your right.
Shame on you, Slum.
Out the back to your right.
On the next Judge Judy.
Why are you not in fear of this drunken guy who gets on the pipe? This guy is dangerous. You need to stay away from him.
That is defamation of character.
It's reality, darling. It's reality. All that I did for you. This is your payback. That's your payback.
Because you're standing there lying and you're implicating me
Your
in
karma is just in the doghouse.
Karma is about money.
So, once again, what can I say? I was a fool, but I just hope others will learn and be warned that there are types like this that prey on people that come to Hollywood, plan on making a career out here, and then get suckered in, abused, and used. It's a terrible thing.
Kathy Burgess is suing her neighbor, 32-year-old Rana Rojas, for non-payment of babysitting services. Kathy says when Rana didn't come home, she had no choice but to drop the kids off at a police station. Rana was furious that Kathy would do such a thing and refused to pay her.
Order, all rise. Now, this is case number 175 on the calendar in the matter of Burgess versus Rojas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat. Have a seat.
And Ms. Burgess, your complaint alleges that you babysat for the defendant's 2 children. You had an agreement with her that she was to pay you $125 for babysitting for her children from when to when?
Well, she actually said $100 and $25 for food, and it was from Friday night at 8 o'clock until 8 o'clock the next day, and that she would pick up her
8 p.m.
kids.
the next day?
Right.
So for a 24-hour period?
Right.
And had you babysat for her children before?
Absolutely.
And had been paid?
No, I had not been paid. I babysitted one night when her little girl was out crying that her mom was on drugs. I did that as a charity cause, just to be a good person. I did it a second time. She had claimed that I babysitted her for a few hours. She had claimed that her mother was alongside the roadside, and it was an emergency, and she had to go that time. She offered to pay me that time. I didn't take it. Later on, my son said that she was all dressed up to go out for the evening, and...
So you had taken care of her children before on a few occasions, but had not been paid?
That's right.
But on this occasion, you were going to be paid. Why?
Right. Because it was going to be a long time, and because I had other plans. We had other things to do. It was going to be for a long period of time.
When did she contact you about these plans for Friday to Saturday?
It was approximately 30 minutes before 8 o'clock.
On Friday night?
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, where were you going?
I was going to Fontana, California.
For what?
To take care of some business, to look for some trucks, some 10-wheeler trucks. My mom was originally supposed to babysit. An hour before I got ready to go, she reneged and she said that she wasn't feeling well, that she could not do it. So that's when I called Kathy. I called Kathy at about 7:30 that evening. I asked Kathy, would she be able to babysit for me? She asked me, how much would I pay her? I told her I'd be gone until 8 o'clock, probably somewhere around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock that Saturday evening. Kathy asked me, could I pay her up front all of the monies? I told her no. I said, I'll give you half now and half upon my return.
So did you give her half?
Yes, I did. I gave her the $50.
Is that correct?
She gave me $50. But
Okay.
she also said that she was going to give me $25 for the food.
Okay, assuming that's correct. Assuming that she said she was going to give you $25 for the food for 24 hours that you were going to watch her 2 children. She gave you $50. So that means she owed you $75. Is that correct?
Right.
Well, she didn't come
She's
back.
not being honest.
Just a second. Assuming that that's correct.
Yeah.
I haven't said it's correct, but assuming that's correct, that means that at this point, if she came home at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, you would have gotten another $75, correct?
Right.
What happened at 8 o'clock on Saturday night?
Well, there was no call, and I waited up all night for her, and I paged her several times at long distance. She never called. When in the morning, when I finally spoke to her, she said her pager was off. And then, and on and on and on. I mean, you know, my kids know too.
On and on and on. I mean, your complaint goes on for a long period of time. You left your children with a neighbor for 24 hours, and then you don't show up.
Okay, what happened, the deal was, I told Kathy that I would be returning that Saturday evening. I told her, however, if I did return too late, that I would not disturb them and wake them up. I said I would not disturb them and wake them up, but I called.
Why didn't you come back for your... Look at me. Why didn't you come back for your children when you were supposed to?
Because we were driving, and I didn't want my
Who was driving?
My boyfriend. He was driving, and I didn't want him driving. That time of night, he had had no sleep, and I didn't want him driving from that evening until that morning. I didn't feel safe. When I spoke with Kathy, I did call. Brittany said that you sat there and listened to me. It would not pick up the phone.
It's not true at all.
Just a second. I mean, quite frankly, I've read I've read your complaint, and I've read your answer. I find both of your actions absolutely outrageous. Yours and hers. Because what you did when she didn't come back is you took her children to the police station. That's an outrageous thing to do. Ms.
That's
Burgess,
right. 24 hours after, and I had other things to do.
No, just a second. Whether you had other things to do or not, compassion for her.
She abandoned her children.
Listen to me.
And I had compassion. I was crying and everything. I had compassion. I felt really bad. Her child was out of control. She had slammed my son in the back. He has rollerblades in the back of his thing.
Miss Burgess, did you call? You had her mother's number.
Hey. I had not her mother's number.
Just a second.
Her daughter did.
Fine. If her daughter had her grandmother's telephone number, and if things had gotten that kind of out of control...
We called on Sunday to come get her.
Hey. Why didn't you just let her call her grandmother, you get on the phone and say, I cannot. It's Sunday morning. I have plans. The kids are not getting along because according to your complaint, all the kids were not getting along well.
That's what we did.
And that's what I didn't understand.
Just a second. I'm not finished with you yet. Because you put your boyfriend over your children. So I'm not finished with you yet.
I put my safety over
my
children.
You put your boyfriend over your children.
That's exactly right.
Everybody puts themselves over children. Children are the innocents. They didn't ask to have a mother who goes traipsing off for 2 days, leaves her children with a stranger to go looking for a 10-wheeler truck.
They've been knowing Kathy for 8 months. She's not a stranger. Her children are at my house on a daily basis.
I wouldn't leave my children with somebody that I knew for 8 months for a weekend.
Her children are at my house every day.
So what?
They come stay with me for hours while she goes shopping. I've never charged Kathy for babysitting.
That's not true.
Oh, Kathy, please.
Miss Rojas.
Kathy, tell the truth.
Listen to me. I'm going to throw you both out of here in 2 seconds because you both deserve each other. You did the wrong thing by taking the children to the police station. You had an alternative. Your alternative was to call the grandmother and say, if you do not... Don't interrupt me. If you do not come to pick up your grandchildren, I'm taking them to the police station.
I did that.
Oh, yeah? Just a second.
In the morning, I did that, and I called the police officer.
No,
and I said,
I'm not asking you police. Don't dance around it. You called and spoke to the grandmother.
She never called back. We said, come get your kids. She never called back.
No, I didn't say come get your kids.
You know, you could have called me.
Miss Rojas,
she had 2 mobile phone numbers.
Could never get through.
You tell me.
I'm going to tell you, because I'm going to throw her out in 2 seconds. Okay. I told you, when I ask you a question, you'll answer it.
Okay.
This is a courtroom.
Okay.
Good. You did not call the children's grandmother and say to them, I am not...
my phone call. Never returned the phone call.
I don't believe you, Miss Burgess.
I do
not believe that you called the grandmother and left a message either on her machine or speaking to somebody at the house. Not her, you!
I did also. And you know, I did
just
have
a second.
compassion.
You did what? I want you to look at me and tell me what you did Sunday morning with her grandmother.
We called the grandmother.
Not we.
I didn't have the grandmother's number, first of all.
But
we had her call it, and then I called the grandmother. She never came. And I had compassion. I was crying when I took the little girl there.
You're a liar.
You can say that.
You
are.
That's just why you came here with that red dress on looking like Satan.
Throw her out of the courtroom.
Out. Step out, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I feel sorry for your children. You are clearly an unfit custodian for your children. It's just too bad that they don't have alternatives.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Burgess wants to be paid for babysitting Rana Rojas's children.
Rhonda says she won't pay the bill because Kathy dropped her kids off at a police station when she was late getting home.
Bert, is she ready to come back into the courtroom?
Yes, Judge.
Good. Now, just answer my questions. You said you had this little girl call her grandmother. Is that right?
And I called too.
Could you step up here for me? Right up here. Right up here. Tell me your name.
Brittany.
How old are you, Brittany?
9 years old.
Okay. You know about telling the truth?
Yes.
You know how important it is to tell the truth in court?
Yes.
So if I ask you some questions, you sure you're going to tell me the truth?
Yes.
Brittany, you remember staying with Miss Rojas?
Yes.
Do you remember when your mom left?
Yes.
Can you tell me what your mom told you when she left?
My mother told me that...
Look at me.
She told me that she would be back Saturday evening, and she said if she didn't, she would call.
Do you know where she was going?
Yes.
Where was she going?
She was going to Fontana, I believe.
For what?
For looking for a truck with her boyfriend.
Do you know why you weren't staying with your grandma?
Because my grandma had denied it.
Had said no?
Yes.
That she wasn't going to babysit?
Yes.
Do you spend a lot of time with your grandma?
Yes.
And you know her phone number?
Yes.
Did you call her on Sunday?
Yes, but she was not home. She was probably either sleeping or at work.
So you didn't reach her when you tried. Do you know if Miss Burgess tried to call her on Sunday?
No.
So nobody else tried to call her all day Sunday?
No.
And how many times had you tried to call her?
I tried to call her twice.
And there was no answer?
No.
What time did you try to call
I
Grandma?
called her at 11:45,
Mm-hmm.
between 11 and 12.
What time did you get up Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, I got up at 10:30 p.m.
10:30 a.m. So you were up late Saturday night?
Yeah.
How late were you up?
Up until 12:30.
What were you doing so late?
We were playing, and we were, like, watching TV.
Any problems in the house while you were there? Were you fighting with those two kids over there?
No, we weren't.
Has your mom ever left to go away on weekends before with her boyfriend?
Once.
You like this boyfriend of your mother's?
Yeah,
Yes or no?
sort of.
How long has she had this boyfriend?
For about 7 or 8 months.
Mm-hmm. Does he ever stay at your house?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You're a nice little girl.
Thank you.
Smart. You do well in school?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Good. Looks to me like you do well in school. How'd you feel when you went to the police station?
I felt scared, and I felt like Kathy didn't want us anymore, and Kathy didn't like us.
Before you went to the police station, did you try to call Grandma again?
Yes.
What happened?
She had answered, but she had said, I can't come and pick you up because she was cooking, and she had to go to the doctor.
Who spoke to her?
Me.
Did Kathy speak to her at all?
Yes. Kathy had said that she didn't need my grandmother.
Who did she say that to?
My mother, my grandmother.
When did she say that?
She said that right before when we went to the police station.
Okay, go and sit down. Now, Miss Burgess, when you spoke to the children's grandmother right before you took them to the police station, did you tell her that you were planning to take the children to the police station?
I did not speak to the grandmother before I took them to this. I spoke in the morning. We left a message in the morning.
I didn't ask you that question.
Then that's no to the answer.
Okay, because she spoke to her grandmother in the afternoon.
Well, I didn't.
It's clear to me that...
And I called the police station. I asked him what I do.
Miss
And I got
Burgess,
these kids. She
stop
hasn't come back.
interrupting me. Only one person can talk at one time. That's me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a child abuser.
Get
And something
you
needs
some
to be done
menopause
with you.
pills and
Shut
get
up.
you some psych meds, and you're
You
gonna
better.
be fine.
You better learn how to be a mother
Relax.
instead of screwing around.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Burgess wants to be paid for babysitting Rana Rojas's children. Rana says she won't pay the bill because Kathy dropped her kids off at a police station when she was late getting home.
If the child was able to speak to her grandmother in the late afternoon, and her grandmother said to her, I can't come and get you because I'm cooking, or whatever.
What a reason.
It's clear to me that you could have spoken to her too in the afternoon, because at that point she was in fact home.
She never called the grandmother in the afternoon. I left a message.
I believe that you
Whatever.
did.
I
believe that she spoke to her grandmother in the afternoon because it.
Anyway. Okay.
I believe that she did, because this child would not tell me something that would be hurtful to her.
What about my children? You don't care about talking to them?
I'm not interested in talking to your children. For what reason?
Because he has an injury on his back.
Listen to
and
me.
things like that. She did.
Listen to me.
Why
Miss
didn't
Burgess. Miss Burgess.
You know.
That's not what this case is about.
I'll tell you what this case is about, Judge Judy. This case is about she left her mother she left her kids for 2 days. I agreed for 1 day. Her child was out of control because she was hurt that her mother didn't keep a promise. I had no alternative. I didn't know if she was going to come back and get her kids. Maybe she would have been a week.
That's bull.
Listen to me.
So I mean, I had no alternative. I felt bad about doing it. I was crying at the police station.
I just really wish you would start telling the truth.
I wish you would.
let
Now
me
come
tell
get
you.
your kids and keep your promise. You're hurting
Miss
your kids also.
Burgess. Don't talk to her. I've already thrown her out once because she doesn't know where she is. What I'm telling you is, you agreed to take care of the children. I believe that Ms. Rojas was totally and completely irresponsible, took off with her boyfriend, and didn't give two hoots about disappointing her children and not coming back for an additional, not hour,
or mine.
not 2. I'm speaking.
Okay, go ahead.
Not 1 hour, not 2 hours, not 3 hours, but another 24 hours before she showed up for her kids. That's irresponsible.
That's right.
No question about that. What I'm suggesting to you is the children are always the innocents.
That's right, they are.
And they should not have been taken to a police station until every other possibility was exhausted. And that meant, Miss Burgess, whether you like to acknowledge it or not, spending the entire afternoon on Sunday trying to reach their grandmother and saying to their grandmother, I can't control all these 4 kids together. They're not getting along. I have no alternative at this point, but if you don't come to get them, I'm going to have to take them to the police station. I believe that you had a responsibility to do that. And, Miss Burgess, you can dance around from today till tomorrow. You did not do that.
I left a message to the mother. I
That's
did it.
not
That's what
good.
the police told
That
me
is
to do.
not good enough before you
Whatever.
take children to the police station. As for you, Miss Rojas,
She abandoned
it's
me.
everything is called a mother these days. You clearly have a boyfriend that interests you more than the welfare of your children. Let us assume I believe what you said, which I don't. Let us assume I believe what you said, that you didn't want to drive late at night with your boyfriend on Saturday night because you didn't feel safe. And it was already late at night. So you check into a motel with your boyfriend, and you sleep from 9 o'clock p.m. until 2 o'clock in the morning from wherever you are. That gives you 5 hours sleep, more than enough time to be fresh, so that when your children get up first thing Sunday morning, you're home, 7 o'clock in the morning, with your apologies to Miss Burgess for not being home at 8 o'clock when you said you were going to be home.
Right.
You didn't show up at the police station till 6 o'clock Sunday night.
No,
Where were you?
No,
on
I got there before 6.
Where were you all day Sunday?
All day Sunday we were driving. It took us 8 hours to drive.
Well, let me ask you this question.
It took 8 hours to drive from San Diego. We ended up going, after Fontana, we went to San Diego.
Why did you go to San Diego?
Because we wanted to. She was aware. She was
I
aware.
wanna tell you something.
I have phone records where I stayed on the phone with Kathy Sunday morning at 9 a.m. and 11 for 6 minutes
I
and
feel
4
sorry
minutes.
for your children.
6 minutes and
you
4
are
minutes. When I
clearly
spoke-
an unfit custodian for your children. It's just too
I don't
bad that they
believe
don't
so.
have
I
alternatives.
don't believe so.
Well, I'm telling you, I believe so, and I've been around probably longer than you've been alive. So you are unfit to take care of your children because what you did was place your pleasure time over the welfare of your children.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
What you did, Ms. Burgess, was not the right thing either. However, you are entitled to babysitting money for these children because you did, in fact, babysit for them. Now, you're asking for $650 when your original agreement with her, according to you, was... When your original agreement, according to you, was $125, according to her, $100. So even if I give you the benefit of the doubt and you kept the children an additional 24 hours, that would be an extra $125 or $250, not $650.
That's not exactly. Please let me explain my case, okay?
I'm giving you $250, madam. You are lucky you're getting it because you are lucky that you're getting it. $250 for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. Step out.
Whatever.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Hell, look at this.
Kathy, please.
Look what your daughter did to my son. You don't care. You're out screwing around with your boyfriend.
You're a liar.
You shut the hell up. I think you're trash. You're not worthy to have kids, and you ought to go get rid of your kids. And you also burned the little girl because she came over and asked him. You didn't want to come get your kids. You want to go to Nugget
You're
Town.
putting
She
on a
told
big
me.
show, aren't you?
I don't care.
Oh.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम, क्या हाल है मेरे भाई? ठीक ठाक है।
I got the triple elimination medal. Awesome.
आज हम तबाही मचा देंगे पबजी में। उसामा, नादिर भी क्या लिखा है? जी भाई, जैसा पता है हमारे यूट्यूब पर नाम है नॉन तो उतरेंगे। अपना बनाने लगे ज़रा ज़रा, पास वो आने लगे ज़रा। ऐसा ये है पबजी का DAD, मतलब पबजी का दादा। किधर उतरना भाई? इवेंट तो बड़ा दूर है, मुश्किल से पहुंच जाएंगे। चलो चलते हैं। नादर सिंह दया, नादर सिंह जी, नादर सिंह जी, गाड़ी वाड़ी पकड़ ले, गाड़ी में मैं जाएगा भाई।
है
और लोग भी गाड़ी मरने जा रहे हैं।
रैंक करना, रैंक कर कहना, रैंक करो कर वो क्यों?
वो गाड़ी लेके भाग गया वो। ए क्या है?
Don't give up.
Rank
Your
ka,
teammates
rank
can
ka.
still recall you.
हाँ, मार चुराइनो। अच्छा बच्चे, अच्छे बच्चे। गलत लैंडिंग कराया ना, लैंडिंग करा, हम गाड़ी लेने गया उधर से, वो और आ गया, उसको पिस्टल मिला। हाँ, ये अच्छा लड़का है, ये नंबर 2 नहीं। हाँ, नादिर का भी किस्सा तमाम हो गया। अच्छा नहीं किया तुम्हारे साथ नादिर।
रैंक कर, रैंक Stick के आप पूरा छित्ती लगी है गिरी
वासोवान सूर्या
पहल बात कराई
नादर तुम कहाँ पे उतर रहे हैं
गेम लाएंगे हम ध्यान सवेरे
मेरा वाला
मुख्य कला दियो रहेगा
गुड
ने बस करने
शाबाश मेरा शेर मेरा वीर
हाँ कौन पे ना फिर बता
मैं लाइव बैठा हूँ YouTube पर
रिकॉल करना
आप उधर नजर आएंगे फिर मेरे
उसका और कथा बाबू और इमेट के छरे हेडे रिकॉल ते बाबू
हाँ मैं लाइव बैठा हूँ ठीक है
रिकॉल करी साथी देख पड़ो
हाँ
I'm recalling a
की
teammate.
वजह से होगा मैं तो बिल्कुल इतना टाइम जाया किया ऊपर से हाँ कोई बात नहीं मैं भी आ गया शेर उधर शेर आ गया अभी मैं सारा मुझे खाली करेगा
माला थोने दे उठते मुझे
छोटा अपराध हो ही बड़ो
जंगो दे साउंड
अन्न खाई के मोर क्यों है गई ऊपर ही पीछे से कहीं बंद आया हुआ है परसों मिल रहा है पड़ गया
शुक्रिया
ड्रॉप
भाई
पर पेट्रोल में जो हम लोग
शुक्रिया मेरे भाई
चली ना समझ आ रहा है और क्या है
नंबर 3 तो
जी आई लिसन टू यू इंग्लिश भी नहीं बोलना ठीक है भाई कुछ है भाई
साल का जान था तो जान कौन बस याना कुछ यार
जी
अच्छा सब
बस से बंदा कोना रहता था जो सा
जी आई अंडरस्टैंड
नहीं इकड़ो इधर मुख्य लगवा नहीं जाने सीधा
बंदा ला नहीं जाने ठीक है और देख बच्चे
सारे बोट
चलो दा पड़ते रहता था दे गन करे
Awesome.
Judy
Judy na hai Groza तो का नंबर 3 किलो कहीं दो ने
कब मैं तो दे नंबर 3
जी मेरे भाई आई अंडरस्टैंड वो आ रहा है बंदा
तो अपना है
Awesome. Thanks.
गाना गाने के लिए नहीं गए
घड़ा के लिए क्या दे
आते जरा पत्ते
Watch out! Watch out! Watch out!
करो नौ 10 पूरा करना है बस ज़्यादा वो खैर क्यों नहीं बताया मैं तो मर गया मैंने कहा चलो वैसे भी खत्म हुआ मार दो उसको हो जा रहे अरे तुम कैसे खेलते 10 से ऊपर हो गए हाँ